Chapter 624. Everyone was dumbfounded by this scene. They didn't know how Lin Jun had managed to kill a World King-level galactic beast, but they didn't see him do anything. Lin Jun shook his body and returned to his human form. He walked over and came to the tail of the giant snake. He lifted its huge tail and pulled out his yin-yang spear from below. When he transformed into the galactic beast, the yin-yang spear was under his body, and the spear tip was raised more than a meter. He deliberately confronted the serpent and lured it to chase after him. When the serpent chased after him, the yin-yang spear would cut it open from head to toe. This kind of natural galactic beast hadn't transformed, and their intelligence hadn't been fully developed. Although they were strong, their intelligence was far inferior to that of humans. Unfortunately, this was a virtual world. Otherwise, this World King-level serpent could be sold for hundreds of millions. However, it was said that killing a galactic beast would give one a reward from the Dimensional Universe Corporation. Lin Jun was looking forward to this. Perhaps there would be a pleasant surprise. In fact, when Lin Jun saw this serpent, he had already made up his mind. If there was a suitable opportunity, he would kill this galactic beast and strive for the reward. Although it was a bit of a trick, no one could deny that Lin Jun had killed a World King-level galactic beast by himself. There were only 3 World King-level galactic beasts here. Since the Dimensional Universe Corporation said that the reward would be good, then it wouldn't be too bad. After pulling out the yin-yang spear, Lin Jun didn't care about the shocked gazes of the others. He sped up and rushed through the 3rd floor. After rushing through the 3rd floor, Lin Jun's ranking rose to 490,000. Looking at the first place Mu Huayu, he had already entered the 6th floor. The 4th floor was a river. A meandering river flowed straight to the exit of the 5th floor, surrounded by steep cliffs. Lin Jun laughed. Great, this floor is convenient for my pursuit. I believe there won't be any more galactic beasts here. With a raise of his hand, another streak of ice appeared. Lin Jun skated on the ice, his speed far surpassing the others who were either swimming or riding bamboo rafts. At this point, Lin Jun had already caught up with the majority of the group. Before he was halfway through the journey, he had already entered the 400,000. After passing this level, my ranking will definitely be within 300,000 or even 200,000. Originally, it should have been quite difficult to advance to the next level, but under Lin Jun's ice chi, it became abnormally simple. After passing through this level, Lin Jun's ranking reached 180,000, and Mu Huayu, who was in first place, had yet to rush out of the 6th level. The 5th floor was a tall mountain. If he wanted to pass it, he would have to climb it. For Lin Jun, who had an extremely high physical strength, this wasn't much of a test. Wasn't it just a competition of speed? Then let's do it. Following the eruption of Lin Jun's strength, his ranking continued to rise, causing some people to finally be unable to sit still. Muon, look at what you've done. This Lin Jun is already within 150,000. His speed is too fast. Yes, Your Highness. I'll definitely think of a way to stop him. Muon's forehead was covered in sweat. Then he said to Mu Wang, Your Highness, but I'm just a servant. I don't have any authority. Lin Jun's strength is very strong, and everything in the virtual world is out of control. Do you really want the Crown Prince to take first place? Mu Jingshan pondered for a moment. This is a must. Originally, as the Crown Prince, Huayu didn't need to participate in this guest elder assessment. However, I received news that if he takes first place, he will receive a reward from the Dimensional Universe Corporation. Do you know what the reward for first place is? Cash? Treasures? Neither. I don't lack these things. Instead, it's an opportunity for Huayu to study at the Alchemist Guild. You should know that Huayu has been studying alchemy for 1,000 years. Currently, he has reached the level of a 3rd-grade alchemist. However, there aren't any strong alchemists in my territory. I have to send him to Xianla province to learn more advanced alchemy techniques. This is the only way to ensure that our position won't be shaken. Muon nodded repeatedly. A high-level alchemist was too important. The Crown Prince was very talented in alchemy. If he could become a 5th-grade alchemist, then Mu Wang province's position would no doubt be even more stable. Since that's the case, then it's simple. The 6th level also has galactic beasts. Your Highness can send your men to help the Crown Prince pass through and then stay behind to kill Lin Jun. No, just passing through is not enough. The first group of people is basically my men. Although the galactic beast has reached the level of a world king, it doesn't have the intelligence of a human. It's not impossible to kill it. Mu Jingshan thought for a moment and decisively issued an order in the dimensional universe. Everyone who is protecting the Crown Prince, listen up. Help the Crown Prince kill the galactic beast on the 6th level at all costs. However, you must ensure that the Crown Prince completes the final strike and make a record of it. Those who survive stay behind to kill someone called Lin Jun. Muon was also stunned. He didn't expect the Wood King to be so bold as to actually want to kill a World King level galactic beast. Muin, you must understand that you can't be sloppy. If you can't kill the galactic beast on the 6th level, then even if Huayu takes first place, the people of the Dimensional Universe Corporation won't think that his ability is better than Lin Jun's. I don't want to cast a shadow over his victory. Do you understand? I understand. If you want to take first place, then you must take first place in all aspects. The 6th level was a desert, so the speed was very fast. A youth in white took the lead and ran in front. Behind him, close to 9,000 level 9 galactic elite guards followed closely. Not a single one of them overtook him. Every time there was danger, the people behind him would launch long-range attacks in unison, eliminating the danger before it could sprout. The youth was the Crown Prince of the Wood King, Mu Huayu. He was a level 9 galactic elite with a star force of 620,000. It was normal for him to have a high star force because he cultivated the secret cultivation technique of the primordial realm. Moreover, the powerhouses of the primordial realm had their star force compressed by 10 times. Lin Jun's star force was high because he had the dark star space and the ominous star map. The ominous star map was actually a cultivation technique of the primordial realm. Mu Huayu also had such a cultivation technique. The guard behind him were the first batch to enter the virtual space with him. They were the guards that the Wood King had arranged for him. With the protection of these guards, nothing in front of him could stop him, and no one could catch up to him from behind. When Mu Huayu passed through the World King level serpent, thousands of guards were killed. Only then could they be considered to have protected him as he passed through the serpent's territory. But when they arrived here, they received an order from the Wood King. Your Highness, the king said that a martial artist named Lin Jun killed the serpent. What? Someone can kill a World King level galactic beast? It's true. The king bought this virtual space with money. He has the authority to view it. The order in which we entered was also arranged by him. That's what he said. Damn it. If that's the case, wouldn't all my limelight be stolen by this guy? What should I do? Don't worry, Your Highness. The king has already ordered us to help you kill another World King level galactic beast here, regardless of the price. The one who spoke was an iron-masked martial artist with a star force of more than 500,000. He was the Wood King's personal guard. Good. Killing the 6th floor galactic beast is definitely better than killing the 3rd floor galactic beast. I just need to deal the final blow. But where is the galactic beast? There, it's right in front of us. Mu Huayu looked up. The sand dune in front of him had begun to rise, like a small mountain rising from the ground. As the yellow sand scattered, a lizard that looked like a fire dragon appeared. Fire dragon lizard. Be careful, Your Highness. This is a mid-level galactic beast, and it's extremely savage. The serpent from before could only be considered a low-level galactic beast. Its strength was not comparable to this fire dragon lizard. Mu Huayu immediately retreated, temporarily giving up his position as number 1. Behind him, the iron-masked martial artist waved his hand, and a large group of guards began to attack the fire dragon lizard. This was the virtual space, so there was no need to worry about death. Almost all of the guards were unafraid of death and began to charge forward. As soon as the fire dragon lizard appeared, it spat out dark blue flames from its mouth. A World King level galactic beast could already have this kind of firepower. The guards immediately suffered huge losses. Hundreds of them died in the flames, turning into starlight and disappearing. However, these well-trained elite guards were not for nothing. Every one of them had more than 100,000 star force. They trained together all year round, so their coordination was even better. Under the command of the Iron Mask martial artist, they scattered into small groups, not giving the fire dragon lizard a chance to massacre them. With each group as the point of attack, they began a war of attrition with the fire dragon lizard that had almost no weaknesses. Once the people on one side died, the other sides would also attack the fire dragon lizard. From full of energy to exhaustion, from exhaustion to injury, and from injury to serious injury. Thousands of martial artists paid with their lives, but the fire dragon lizard was eventually weakened by this war of attrition until it could no longer move. After paying the price of dozens of lives, the fire dragon lizard finally lost its ability to resist. "Your Highness, it's your turn." When they set off, there were 10,000 people. Now, there were less than 2,000 left. Mu Huayu stepped forward and ended the fire dragon lizard's life with his sword. He also recorded the video. "This is great. I killed a World King level galactic beast. This time, not only will I be able to take first place, but I will also receive a reward from the Dimensional Universe Corporation. I can finally go to the Alchemist Guild for special training. The special training quota must be mine. Congratulations, Your Highness, but we better hurry. Look at that guy called Linjun. He has already killed his way into the top 50,000. Half of you stay here. We must kill Linjun. The rest, follow me and escort me through the 9th floor." Yes. Chapter 625. When Linjun passed through the 5th floor, he realized that Mu Huayu had already reached the 7th floor. "He's really fast. I didn't encounter any galactic beasts on the 5th floor, so it must be on the 6th floor. I didn't expect this guy to pass. His surname is Mu. I wonder if he's related to the Wood King. Maybe there's something fishy going on." Being hunted down on the 1st level, Lin Jun was already starting to have doubts about this test. If it was a private test, it would definitely not be so fair. However, Lin Jun was still very confident in himself. He had already entered the top 50,000, and there weren't many people ahead of him. The 6th floor was a desert, and there weren't any monsters blocking his way. This made it easier for him to run. Lin Jun sped up again and continued forward. After running for about 3 minutes, the crowd in front of him seemed to be a little crowded. Looking into the distance, he saw a group of people standing there. They were checking everyone who passed by, but they only stopped for a short while. No one knew what they were doing. Lin Jun rushed forward and was immediately stopped. "Move aside." Lin Jun didn't want to waste any time. "Move aside? You better behave yourself, brat. You're Lin Jun." The martial artist was stunned for a moment before shouting loudly. The cultivators who were blocking the other cultivators immediately stopped and ran towards Lin Jun. Lin Jun saw the situation and didn't hesitate. He raised his spear and stabbed the martial artist to death on the spot. Killing one was killing. Killing 100 was also killing. Since he had already started, Lin Jun didn't show any mercy. His spear swung wildly, and spear shadows shot up into the sky along with blood. These nebula stage martial artists were very strong. Each of them had more than 100,000 stars. Moreover, they were very organized. Lin Jun didn't have an easy time fighting them. But no matter what, the difference in strength between them was still very large. Lin Jun finally found an opportunity to use Black Hole Storm again after 30 to 40 people had died. This move was an AoE attack. It was powerful and had a large area of effect. In an instant, it swallowed up hundreds of people. The remaining fishes that had escaped the net were no longer a problem. After Lin Jun chased down a few dozen more people, they finally scattered like birds and beasts, not daring to confront Lin Jun head-on. Lin Jun didn't have the time to chase after them one by one. In just a short while, his ranking had already reached over 60,000. Lin Jun once again sped up and dashed forward. Now, there was no one who dared to stop him. After breaking through the 6th floor, Lin Jun's ranking rose to over 40,000. At this time, Mu Huayu had already reached the 8th floor. The 7th floor was a volcanic landscape. Lin Jun was not afraid of the flames here, but the lava river was very difficult to freeze. He simply took out the thunderstorm wings and flew close to the ground. It was forbidden to fly more than 2 meters above the ground. However, Lin Jun flew 1 meter above the ground. The lava river could not harm him. This part of the journey was Lin Jun's fastest. He had also surpassed the second group's main force. Those scattered warriors were all thrown to the back of Lin Jun's mind. After rushing all the way, Lin Jun's ranking rose to over 3,000 after passing through the 7th floor. The 8th floor was a glacier. When Lin Jun entered the 8th floor, he found that Mu Huayu had not run out of the 8th floor. Hee, I finally caught up. Let's meet on the 9th floor. At this time, Lin Jun's advantage of cultivating all elemental energy was revealed. The biting cold wind around him could not affect him. His speed did not slow down at all. There were also no galactic beasts on the 8th floor. When Lin Jun was halfway there, Mu Huayu had already reached the 9th floor. Lin Jun was not affected at all. He continued to overtake one competitor after another. The martial artist could only see a flash of light, disappearing in the cold wind in the blink of an eye. They could only trudge through the cold wind with difficulty. After rushing all the way out of the 8th floor, Lin Jun's ranking had reached over 900. There are less than 1,000 people in front of me. This 9th floor is actually a straight track. Let's see who is faster. The 9th floor was like a large sports field. From a starting point to the finishing point, there was a straight track. It was completely forbidden to fly here. The martial artists were using all their strength to run as fast as they could. Lin Jun accelerated again. From the back to the front, he overtook one martial artist after another. By the time he was halfway there, he had already caught up to the 700th place. After passing a martial artist who was almost foaming at the mouth, Lin Jun had a feeling that perhaps this was the last scattered martial artist. The people in front must be together. Chase! No one has reached the finishing point yet. You won't be able to run far. A shadow flashed past. Lin Jun's speed soared to the limit. After running for another 1,000 kilometers, Lin Jun finally saw the crowd in front of him. It was a neat group of martial artists. There were over 600 of them, standing on the track as if preparing to intercept him. This again, as expected, they're related. At this moment, Lin Jun could already confirm that Mu Huayu was an important figure in the Mu family. These people were here to cover for him. Lin Jun was currently ranked 650, and while he was running, he asked Crazy to scan how many people there were on the other side. The result of Crazy's scan was that there were 648 people here. In other words, apart from these people, there was only one person in front. Seeing the neat formation of the other party, Lin Jun immediately used the Black Hole Beast Devouring Storm again. The other party did not expect Lin Jun to be so decisive. The Black Hole Storm was so terrifying. Although the distance was a little far, this move still swallowed over 600 people. There were only a dozen or so fish that escaped the net. Lin Jun's ranking shot up from 650th to 15th place in an instant. The remaining dozen or so people were just chickens and dogs in Lin Jun's eyes. They could not withstand a single blow. He wanted to just fly past them. However, he did not expect that when Lin Jun was about to pass, these people would attack from all angles again. At this moment, Lin Jun noticed that these people all had more than 300,000 star power. In other words, if these people were brought to the new territories, they could easily pass the heavenly gate. Lin Jun did not dare to be careless. He waved his spear and started fighting. It was not easy to kill with one spear. The dozen or so people were a mess. It did not matter if they died in the virtual world. They were not afraid of death. They would rather die than leave a wound on Lin Jun. Lin Jun spent a full 3 minutes to clean up most of the people. In front of him, there was only one iron-masked man. This person was very strong. His star power exceeded 500,000. Lin Jun was even injured by this man. At this moment, Lin Jun was already ranked 3rd. He would be ranked 2nd if he took one more step. The iron-masked man sneered and looked at Lin Jun. Lin Jun, why do you have to fight so hard? As long as you wait for a minute before leaving, I will give you the 2nd place. Anyway, the 1st place is already my family's heir. Since he hasn't gotten the 1st place, I will not give up. Die. Lin Jun did not have time to talk to him. So what if he had 500,000 star power? Lin Jun had always been challenging people of a higher level. Why would he be afraid of a warrior of the same level whose star power was lower than his. The two of them exchanged blows at lightning speed. Their figures staggered and fell to the ground. Lin Jun's abdomen had another wound. Lin Jun's spear pierced through the man's back. The energy exploded and completely destroyed the man's heart. It's useless. The heir is about to reach the finish line. Lin Jun pulled out his spear and continued to run. Even if there was a glimmer of hope, he had to try his best. After running for another 3 minutes, the finish line was in sight. Lin Jun saw an old man in a white robe standing in front of the last light gate with a smile. He seemed to be welcoming the warriors who were about to arrive. A young man in white was running with his tongue out. He was running forward unsteadily. He was very close to the finish line. He was less than a kilometer away. At this moment, Lin Jun was also using all of his strength. What if this man fell at the last moment? He still had a chance. The man in white was very slow. Occasionally, he would look back at Lin Jun. However, he did not fall as Lin Jun thought. He was trying his best to hold on. The man in white finally reached the finish line. Lin Jun was still a few kilometers away. Looking at the time, it was too late. The man in white raised a foot and stretched it in front of the light gate. Almost half of his body was inside. At this time, he looked back at Lin Jun. Hee, Lin Jun, are you hoping for me to fall to the end? But I'm very sorry to disappoint you. Look, you're still 3 kilometers away. You'll be here soon. But no matter how fast you run, you won't make it in time. I deliberately let you catch up so you could see how you fail. You're a weakling for the new territories. How dare you compete with me, the heir of the Wood King? You really don't know what's good for you. Ha ha ha. You're only 500 meters away. But unfortunately, I'm going to pass the finish line. First place is still mine. Bye-bye. With that, the man in white stepped into the light gate. Lin Jun was the second to enter the light gate. He was only 0.1 seconds behind, but he was still a little slower. Sigh. I didn't expect to only get second place in the end. But it's okay. I even killed a galactic beast. The difference between first and second place shouldn't be that big. Lin Jun was not a sore loser. He did try his best. It was a miracle that he could get second place under the pursuit of his opponents. However, after entering the light gate, he found that he did not leave the tower. He was still there. What the hell is going on? Chapter 626. However, black soil was used to writing 3,000 words. He would not easily open a short chapter. This was also the first time black soil had released consecutive chapters since he started writing. However, the 3 chapters were not the end of the day. What followed next would depend on everyone. A monthly vote of 100 would add a chapter. A reward of 10,000 would add a chapter. Black soil did not have a cap. In September, he would write as much as he could. Chapter 627. Amidst the twisting light and shadow, Lin Jun was wearing a divine armor, stepping on the void, and was about to climb to the supreme throne. After being reborn for 1,000 years, he finally realized his dream and came to this step. The powerhouses of thousands of races in the universe knelt at his feet. Flowers fell from the sky, golden lotuses sprouted from the ground, and billions of people shouted for Lin Jun, the Great Emperor. Great Emperor, please ascend the throne. An immortal-level powerhouse smiled at Lin Jun. His face was a little blurry, and he seemed to be Zhueyu. Lin Jun stopped in front of the steps leading to the throne, and his footsteps were somewhat out of control. Is this real? Is this real? How long has it been? Is the step he yearned for in his heart achieved, just like that? Lin Jun couldn't believe it, but everything in front of him was so real. Facing the position of the peak of the universe, any cultivator would find it hard to resist such a temptation. Great Emperor, please ascend the throne. Countless people below let out a tsunami of voices, including many familiar faces of Lin Jun. All the people he had experienced, good or bad, friends, enemies, and relatives, were all smiling at him. Daddy, quickly go up and sit. The young mayor was shouting for her daddy, and there seemed to be a playmate beside her. Oh, that's Yaya, the Yaya who saved me in the White Magnolia. Are she and Mayor good friends? Son, come quickly. How long have you been waiting for this day? Lin Lia and Li Qin smiled and waved at him. Daddy, Mommy. Lin Jun's mouth let out an involuntary sound. and he didn't know how to choose. "Hubby, come over. We still have to go home after completing the ascension." Su Mingwe held Ning's hand and greeted Lin Jun sweetly. Even though they were already mothers, they still had the appearance of a young girl. "Go home, go home." Lin Jun only felt a little absent-minded. "Yes, go home. Your little phoenix is still waiting for you to marry her after you ascend the throne. Don't you miss her?" Above the void, Feng Qingwan, who was wearing a fiery red dress and had black hair like a waterfall, rolled her eyes at him. She was charming and seductive. Lin Jun's footsteps finally walked uncontrollably to the throne, one step at a time, toward the peak. When he walked past, countless people all knelt on the ground and shouted for the great emperor. The scene of countless people kneeling at the same time, without seeing it with their own eyes. Lin Jun walked to the front of the throne and turned around. Facing the myriad races of the universe, he raised his arms high. In the sky, on the ground, and in the sea, all kinds of races gathered together until the end of the horizon. When Lin Jun raised his arms, all the noise immediately disappeared, waiting for the great emperor to speak. A martial artist. If you want to reach the peak, you have to rely on yourself to walk step by step. Other than that, there is no other way. Lin Jun looked around and said to the immortal-level martial artist with a blurry face, "Is this position supreme?" The immortal-level martial artist lowered his head. "Yes, Your Majesty. Sitting on this seat, you are the only king of the entire universe, the primordial realm, and the new territories." "Oh, since this place is so powerful, how about I invite you to sit here?" No, Your Majesty. This is your seat. If anyone else sits on it, they will be executed. Since I'm Your Majesty, then I have the final say. If I ask you to sit, then sit. Otherwise, I'll be the first to execute you." The immortal-level martial artist was stunned. Lin Jun suddenly moved like lightning and directly pressed him to the seat. Countless poisonous snakes immediately darted out from the throne and tied him up tightly. At the same time, they opened their bloody mouths and bit him. But they stopped halfway. The immortal-level martial artist's face was gloomy. "How'd you find out? Do you think I'm an idiot? It's understandable for others to appear, but Yaya has been dead for many years. How could she appear in front of me alive? I was surprised to see her, and then I came to my senses. This is my negligence, but this doesn't mean your victory. It doesn't mean your victory either. Go to hell." Lin Jun raised his hand, and the yin-yang spear slammed into the immortal-level martial artist's body. The space in front of him shattered, and everything disappeared. Then, smoke and dust floated, and an ethereal sound of a bell echoed in the mountains. Lin Jun came in front of a temple. Facing the high and mighty Buddha, he was like an ant. A novice monk put his palms together. "Benefactor, if you want to worship Buddha, please offer incense." Another novice monk held a joss stick in front of Lin Jun, waiting for Lin Jun to reach out to receive it. The sea of bitterness is boundless. Repent and be saved. Lay down the butcher's knife and become a Buddha on the spot. Benefactor, you're plagued by the sin of killing. If you don't keep your word, I'm afraid you'll fall into the 18 levels of hell in the future, never to be reincarnated. Lin Jun raised his head. "Is the 18 levels of hell scary?" "Arrogant," the novice monk shouted. Before he could do anything, Lin Jun had already killed him. "Trying to scare me by pretending to be mysterious?" The long spear was waved, and the temple hall collapsed with a rumble. The Buddha in the temple hall rose into the air and floated in the sky. He was as huge as a planet. A huge golden palm pressed down from the void with an irresistible force, pushing away the clouds and pressing down. Ha ha ha! There are no gods or Buddhas in the world of martial artists. There are only powerhouses. Even if you're the Buddha, you're just a powerful martial artist. I like to see what your ultimate move can do to me. Lin Jun rushed into the sky with the long spear in his hand. He faced the palm that was bigger than the Asian continent and brazenly faced it. It was like a moth flying into a flame. When the two met, it seemed that the disparity between them was too great. However, Lin Jun easily shattered the gigantic spirit divine palm and destroyed the golden Buddha body. When the Buddha was destroyed, countless Buddhas appeared in the sky. How dare you, Lin Jun? How dare you blaspheme the gods? However, Buddhas have supreme Dharma bodies. If you kill one, there will be two. If you kill 10,000, there will be 20,000. How many can you kill? Just give up and let me capture you. If I can kill one of you, I can kill 100,000 of you. I'll kill as many as come. Let's see if your supernatural power is as strong as the gods. With the yin-yang spear as the arrowhead, he rushed into the sky again and charged into the endless Buddha kingdom. With a thrust of the spear, a scream was heard. Then there was another change. Rumble. The Buddha kingdom disappeared, and golden smoke and dust scattered. Lin Jun had already arrived at a market. This place, why does it feel like the ancient times of Earth? The Tang dynasty? The Han dynasty? Or the spring and autumn period? Just as Lin Jun was puzzled, a little girl's soft voice rang out. Big brother, give me some money. Mommy's about to starve to death. Lin Jun lowered his head. This little girl had delicate features. She had a pair of big deer-like eyes. Her watery eyes were very lovable. Who are you? Are you hungry? But you don't have to worry about me, big brother. Nuno won't eat. I'll be fine as long as big brother can give mommy some money or something to eat. The little girl's sensible manner made one's heart ache. Lin Jun's heart ached as well. He crouched down in front of the little girl. He felt around in his pocket and took out a piece of silver. Although he did not know why he had to spend silver, Lin Jun still handed it over. Nuno, take this back and buy some food for mommy, okay? Thank you, big brother. You're such a good person. Lin Jun smiled bitterly. He looked at the little girl reaching out to take his silver. Wait, what's your mommy's name? Why don't I find a doctor for her? Lin Jun asked suddenly. Mommy's name is Karina. Lin Jun suddenly retracted his hand that was holding the silver. Then he grabbed the little girl's delicate neck with lightning speed. Big brother, what are you doing? The little girl was about to cry. Nothing. I'm just sending you to see your mommy. He exerted force with one hand. With a crack, the little girl's neck was broken. She died on the spot. The scene shook. Then a shrill scream was heard. A young woman stumbled over and picked up the little girl's corpse. She pointed at Lin Jun and said, This butcher, this executioner. Nuno was only 4 years old. Why did you kill her? Why? The surrounding people came over to criticize. Some people even picked up stones to hit Lin Jun. Lin Jun stood up, and without another word, the long spear in his hand trembled. With each spear strike, he slaughtered everyone in the market. Finally, the little girl's mother, a rather beautiful woman, was also stabbed to death by Lin Jun's spear. The scene shook again. Finally, the space collapsed. A black and red monster finally fell from the sky and landed heavily in front of Lin Jun. The last galactic beast in the tower mirage. Lin Jun held the yin-yang spear and walked up to the monster. The monster wasn't big. It was about the size of a dog. It looked like a human and was severely injured. I don't believe it. How can you not be tempted? Don't you have any weaknesses? Your Fata Morgana is indeed astonishing. However, it's a pity that you revealed a flaw the first time you used it. After that, I became vigilant and used all of my mental energy to protect my brain. That's why I was always able to see the flaw in your Fata Morgana. The second time, you used all the gods and Buddhas to suppress me. But have you forgotten? How can a martial artist be suppressed? The third time, you used the sympathy of a little girl to move me. But unfortunately, that kind of cheap sympathy is something that I have completely lost countless years ago. And most importantly, under your repeated probing, my spiritual energy has already reached 100% completion of Emerald Radiance. There's no longer a single flaw. How can you confuse me? Every time Mirage failed, it would be attacked by Lin Jun. After repeating this several times, it had no strength left. After Lin Jun finished speaking, he stabbed Mirage to death with his spear. After killing Mirage, there was a flash of light, and the door leading to the outside of the tower appeared. Beside Lin Jun, Mu Huayu had clearly just woken up from his dilemma. Lin Jun kicked Mu Huayu to the side and stepped out of the door. Chapter 628. After Lin Jun walked out of the door, Mu Huayu ran out pathetically. Lin Jun, why did you kick me? You're my way. Of course I'll kick you. Mu Huayu gritted his teeth. Bastard, even if you get first place, I'm still the crown prince of Muwang province. How dare you treat me like this? Don't forget that you'll only be a foreign dignitary even if you get first place. Huh. Then what do you want me to do to you? Fighting and killing are normal in this virtual space. Besides, I only kicked you out. As for foreign dignitaries are guests. If they want to stay in Muwang province, they can. If they don't want to, I can leave at any time. What are you going to do to me? Lin Zhun's tough attitude made Mu Huayu hesitate. He wanted to attack Lin Zhun, but the trial was over. There was no point in doing so. More importantly, he was not confident that he could defeat Lin Zhun. Although he had 600,000 star points, Lin Zhun's star points seemed to be above his. Since Lord Chu Lu was eliminated by Lin Zhun, the martial artists behind him quickly passed the tower and ran out one by one. After the top 10 people came out, the trial was over. The people behind did not need to compete and left the space directly. The ranking did not matter. Muwang province only took the top 10. After the trial was over, Mu Jingshan, the Wood King, appeared in the dimensional universe. His expression was terrible. He only said a few polite words before turning to leave, allowing Mu In to continue. For the top 10, Muwang province will look for you when something happens. You just have to wait patiently for the notice. After a month, you'll be able to receive a month's salary. If you're willing to come to Muwang province, you can come too. We'll provide free accommodation. After that, Muin left in a hurry. It felt like he did not care about the foreign dignitary trial at all. Seeing that the Wood King's crown prince had only obtained second place, the other warriors vaguely guessed the reason. They whispered in disgust. Lin Jin knew that this would be the outcome. He did not expect much from the Muwang province. What he had his eyes on was the reward from the Dimensional Universe Corporation. Lin Jin could get 3 rewards. One was the reward for coming in first place, and the other 2 were rewards for killing galactic beasts. The Dimensional Universe Corporation was extremely efficient. Lin Zhun received a notification from the Dimensional Universe Corporation as soon as the meeting was over. Please come to the Xinla Prefecture branch of the Dimensional Universe Corporation. Lin Zhun immediately used the Dimensional Universe to teleport to the Xianlu Prefecture branch. In the real world, the Dimensional Universe Corporation only had one headquarters, which was located in the Great Qin Empire. The state of Qin was the most powerful country in the primordial realm. It was many times stronger than the southern Liang. As for the branch, it only existed in the virtual world and did not have a real location anywhere else. After arriving at the branch, someone immediately came to receive Lin Zhun. The receptionist was not a real person, but a robot. The branch was not as luxurious as he had imagined. It was just a simple and empty house. Hello, Lin Zhun. Due to your performance in the virtual world, the Dimensional Universe Corporation has decided to give you a reward. Please check your receipt. Ding. Because you killed a galactic beast on the 3rd level of the virtual world, you will be rewarded with 30 million in cash. Ding. Because you killed a galactic beast on the 9th level of the virtual world, you will be rewarded with 90 million in cash. Ding. Because you obtained first place in the assessment, you will be able to receive a spot for special training. Please head to the Xinla Prefecture Alchemist Guild within 3 months and request guidance from an alchemist who is 2 levels higher than you. After the 3 rewards were given, Lin Zhun was automatically teleported out. His bank card received 2 notifications consecutively. 2 sums of cash had been transferred to his account. The first sum was 30 million, and the second was 10 million. The total was 120 million. So the reward for killing a galactic beast was cash. That meant that Mu Huayu had 60 million in cash. This was also thanks to the fact that the galactic beast on the last level was the Mirage. If it was a battle-type galactic beast, Lin Zhun would not have been able to kill it. Moreover, Lin Zhun did not expect that he would be able to receive a spot for special training from the Alchemist Guild. Finding an alchemist who was 2 levels higher than him to be his teacher sounded like a good idea. However, if he were to become a level 4 or level 5 alchemist, would there be a level 6 or a level 7 alchemist to teach him? A friend request from the Dimensional Universe came in. It was actually from Mu Huayu. Lin Jin also wanted to know what this guy wanted to say, so he clicked accept. Lin Jun, you were originally an insignificant ant from the new territories. I didn't expect you to ruin my plans. I'm sure you did this because you knew about the reward from the Alchemist Guild, right? However, don't be too proud. I can also get a spot for the Alchemist Guild through other methods. We'll meet again then. You, who knows nothing about alchemy, better give up now. Otherwise, I'll go over and trample you to death. I'll trample you until you never reincarnate. Ha ha ha. Lin Jun hung up the call from the dimensional universe. He did not intend to offend anyone, but this matter was a freak combination of factors. That despicable Mu In wanted to plot against him, and in the end, he ruined Mu Huayu's plans. However, if he really wanted to teach him a lesson in alchemy, Lin Jun was really looking forward to it. Now that he had money, many of Lin Jun's plans could finally be implemented. During this period of time, Lin Jun also had a rough understanding of the situation in the primordial realm. Especially after absorbing Su Xingyao's memories, it was equivalent to him living another life. He wanted to find Feng Qingwan, but the Phoenix race's encampment was in the Great Tang Empire, which was also a very powerful country. The Phoenix race resided on Mount Egret in the Great Tang Empire. Strictly speaking, they were not under the jurisdiction of the Great Tang Empire and were considered independent. Mount Egret was thousands of miles away from where Lin Jun was, tens of millions of light years away. It was definitely not an easy task to get there. Lin Jun calculated the journey. He would have to go through 7 or 8 teleportation arrays. Among them, a few long-distance teleportation arrays would cost hundreds of millions of yuan. In addition, Lin Jun also had to have the strength to walk. It would take about a few months on the road. It could be said that this was a long journey. If Lin Jun wanted to go, he had to be fully prepared. Before that, Lin Jun had to earn more money and increase his strength. Otherwise, if he encountered an accident, he would not have the ability to protect himself, let alone protect others. Lin Jun immediately bought a few medicinal herbs in the dimensional universe. Frigid Earth Dragon Bone, a cold attribute medicinal pill used to expel poison. 5-color grass, used to maintain the coolness of medicinal properties. 100-flower dew, used to concoct medicinal pills. Lin Jun had long taken a fancy to these things. Su Xingyao had obtained a medicinal pill formula in the past called the 100-flower pill. It was specially used to expel pill poison. However, this medicinal pill required a cold attribute alchemist. Such an alchemist could be said to be one in 10,000. This was because 99% of the pills concocted by alchemists relied on firepower. There were very few who relied on cold energy. Very few people would take this path because the future was too narrow. Even if there were, no one could do it very well. Therefore, the price of medicinal pills used to expel poison had always been high. Lin Jun wanted to concoct this medicinal pill. As long as he succeeded, he would have an endless stream of wealth. Although the demand for elemental gathering powder was the greatest, the competition was also great. This medicinal pill was almost non-existent in the market. Lin Jun bought a lot of the 3 medicinal herbs, spending a total of more than 5 million yuan. Among them, Lin Jun planted the 5-color grass seeds himself. He also stored a large amount of 100-flower dew and frigid earth dragon bone. After getting the medicinal herbs, Lin Jun began a long process of concocting medicinal pills. Failure, 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 success, failure, success, success. These medicinal pills were not considered high-grade medicinal pills. Generally, alchemists could concoct them with a success rate of 30 to 40%. However, that was a low-level alchemist. With the accumulation of time, Lin Jun's grasp of medicinal properties became more and more refined. His technique became more and more skillful. He gradually found the feeling of a 5th-grade alchemist. Concocting such low-level medicinal pills, his success rate gradually increased from continuous failures to a success rate of 60%. After spending nearly 10 million yuan and not leaving the house for a month, Lin Jun had already practiced the elemental gathering powder and 100-flower pill to the point of perfection. A success rate of nearly 70% filled Lin Jun with confidence. The huge amount of money had been exchanged for Lin Jun's large accumulation of medicinal herbs. Lin Jun already had more than 800 bottles of the elemental gathering powder and more than 100 bottles of 100-flower pill. It's about time. Between these two medicinal herbs on the market, the elemental gathering powder's price is about 30,000 yuan per bottle, while the 100-flower pill's price is about 100,000 yuan. If these medicinal herbs are labeled as a fourth-grade alchemist, they can be sold for more than 30 million yuan. This is not including the medicinal herbs that I've ruined. The profession of alchemist is indeed very profitable. However, Lin Jun did not want to sell them now. Although his pills were definitely top grade, he did not have the title of an alchemist after all. In the Yuan realm, no one would buy pills from someone who did not have a title. Therefore, he needed to qualify as an alchemist first. If he wanted to qualify, there was a branch of the Alchemist Guild in Muwang Province. The president of the branch was a 6th-grade alchemist, which represented the highest standard in Muwang Province. Although I inherited Su Xingyao's memories, my current alchemy standards have not reached the 5th grade yet. A 5th-grade alchemist must refine high-grade medicinal pills, such as the elemental gathering powder used in the Star Domain stage or other medicinal herbs. The reason why Su Xingyao is able to reach the 5th level is because he can refine the golden elixir of flesh and blood. Those people who went missing were all killed by him to refine the elixir. It belongs to the evil elixir. I definitely can't use this skill to take the examination. Lin Jun calculated for a moment. Being able to qualify as a 4th-grade alchemist was his current limit. However, 4th grade was enough. Without thousands of years of experience, one could not have any achievements in alchemy. People who were thousands of years old and still at 3rd grade could be found everywhere. To qualify as a 5th-grade alchemist, Lin Jun still needed to obtain a relatively precious medicinal pill formula and cultivate it. Chapter 629. When he opened the Dimensional Universe's trading firm, a dazzling array of mounts appeared. This interface was just like the one Lin Jun knew about back on Earth, where people who liked cars browsed through the car interface. There were all kinds of domesticated mounts, and it was too much for the eyes to take in. The ones that were not so good were in the tens of thousands, while the good ones were in the millions. The truly high-end ones were even in the hundreds of millions. Lin Jun currently had 110 million in his hands. He didn't want to buy something that was too bad. It had to be practical. Demon Wolf mount, fast speed, can pull carriages, can fight. Black Tortoise mount, medium speed, can pull carriages, can fight. Strong defense. Green Bird mount can fly. Fast speed, can't carry carriages. After looking at it for a while, Lin Jun chose to filter. Firstly, it had to be fast. Secondly, it had to be able to fight. As for whether it could pull carriages or not, it didn't matter. Lin Jun was just one person at the moment, and he didn't have much use for a carriage. He set the speed at sublight speed and filtered the types of mounts that could be used for fighting again. This time, more than half of the mounts were gone. There were only a few types left, but none of them were cheap. Hissing Wind Beast, basic sublight speed, 10 million. Chapter 630. As he entered the Alchemist Guild, the fragrance of pills wafted over. There were many people in the hall. Most of them were at the Star Domain stage, and there were even 5 or 6 World Kings. However, they were all sitting there obediently, and no one dared to be rash. There were those who wanted to take the test, and those who wanted pills. They were all waiting for the Alchemist Guild to meet them. Lin Jun registered first, and then sat at the last seat. This seat moved forward in a circular motion. Basically, it was equivalent to sitting in the queue. When the person in front finished, all the seats would automatically rotate and move forward by one person. The receptionist at the front desk was beautiful and had a pleasant voice. It was a pleasure to listen to. Elder Qian's pills aren't ready yet. Please come again next time. Deacon Du will need to refine pills in a while. You only have 10 minutes. Hurry up and go in. There are many people waiting behind you. Those who want to take the test, go in. Remember, don't make any noise. The fee is 10,000 per test. If you can't pass the test, then you will have to pay for the wasted herbs. You must remember this. If you don't want to bear the cost of the herbs, then don't take the test. Her attitude wasn't polite, but no one dared to refute. In front of Lin Jun sat a first-level World King who was nervously rubbing his hands. Lin Jun usually saw World Kings who were high and mighty. He had never seen a world king like this. He couldn't help but ask, "Senior, what's wrong with you?" The world king turned around. He looked quite young with a baby face and a ridiculous watermelon hairstyle. "AI, you won't understand. I'm planning to take the alchemist test, but I don't have much confidence." "What grade are you planning to take?" "Third grade. I've been studying alchemy for 3,000 years. My father said that my talent isn't bad and I should be able to take the third grade alchemist test. But I'm still nervous." "What's your name?" Lin Jun saw that although this world king was strong, he seemed a bit immature. He couldn't help but ask, "I'm called Shui Feng. What do you want?" The world king said, and suddenly became vigilant. "Haha, it's nothing. I'm also here to take the alchemist test." Lin Jun noted down the name. "With just you? A brat who had just turned 1,000 years old wanted to take the alchemist test? You're taking the exam to become a rank 1 acolyte, right?" Lin Jun shook his head. "I want to take the 4th grade alchemist exam. F***CK. Are you trying to trick me? I've studied alchemy for 3,000 years, and I've only taken the 3rd rank exam. You've only studied alchemy for a few hundred years, and you want to take the 4th rank exam? Do you know that tricking an angry realm king is an unwise choice?" As he spoke, Shui Feng waved his fist at Lin Jun. "Alchemy is the same as cultivation. It depends on one's talent. You can't be stronger than others just because you've cultivated for a few years. If I say I'll take the rank 4 exam, then I'll take the rank 4 exam. Don't brag. Do you think I'll believe your nonsense?" My father's words are the truth. He said that I'm talented enough to get into rank 3. You can never surpass me in terms of talent. TSK. If I don't surpass you, I, Lin Jun, will write my name backwards. Lin Jun glared at the world king. Good. If you can get into rank 4, then I'll call you big brother. If you can't, then you're out of luck." Shui Feng turned his head, no longer looking at Lin Jun. Lin Jun smiled. This world king was to his liking. Although this person was only a 1st-level world king, his astral energy fluctuations were in no way inferior to those of an 8th or 9th-level world king. He was obviously raised by a super family. As for who had nurtured him, Lin Jun had some idea in his heart. This person was worth making friends with. "Shui Feng." The receptionist at the front desk asked. Coming. Shui Feng immediately walked over. "Your exam time is up. Go over now. The exam location is in the 3rd room on the left." Shui Feng nodded. He couldn't help but rub his hands together, looking very nervous. At this time, Lin Jun suddenly opened his mouth. "Hey, fatty." Shui Feng was stunned for a moment before his expression turned angry. "I'm just born with a baby face, not a fatty. Up to you. I just want to tell you that you can't lose to me. If you can't even get into rank 3, then you don't have the qualifications to compete with me." Boy, you're finished. Today, I'll let you experience Uncle Shui Feng's true strength." Shui Feng was obviously competing with Lin Jun. He walked in with his head held high and his chest puffed out. He was not nervous at all. Because Shui Feng was taking the exam, Lin Jun couldn't go in for the time being. He could only wait outside. About half an hour later, Shui Feng's exam was over. This guy had his hands behind his back and proudly walked out. On his chest, there was a special symbol. This was the symbol of the Alchemist Guild. There were 3 gold stars on it, proving his identity as a rank 3 alchemist. Ha. Lin Jun, you're finished. I'll wait here for the results of your exam. If you try to trick me, Uncle Shui Feng's methods are very cruel. Lin Jun stood up. Be prepared to call me Big Brother. Remember, after you call me Big Brother, follow me. Don't go back on your words. Tisk. You? Go. I can't wait to teach you an arrogant guy a lesson. The receptionist called for Lin Jun. Lin Jun walked over. The receptionist repeated the rules of the exam to him. Lin Jun nodded and entered the room that Shui Feng just entered. After entering, there were 2 alchemists sitting inside. One of them had 5 gold stars on his chest, a rank 5 alchemist. The other was a rank 4 alchemist with 4 gold stars. According to the Alchemist Guild's rules, to take the alchemist exam, one's level must be higher than the examinee's level. Seeing Lin Jun come in, the rank 4 alchemist glanced at him and said in a low voice, "Waste of time." "Meng Fei, don't say that." The older rank 5 alchemist waved his hand and said to Lin Jun, what level do you want to take the exam? Lin Jun first looked at Meng Fei. This person should be the backer of the scalper outside. The purchase of the alchemist identity was done through him. However, Lin Jun still said, I don't have the identity of an alchemist yet. I can't directly take the exam. That's right. If you want to take the exam, you must start as a rank 1 apprentice. Then I'll start from rank 1. The two alchemists were obviously used to this kind of situation. They let Lin Jun start immediately. Rank 1 was actually not called an alchemist. It was called an apprentice. There was no need to practice alchemy in this exam. It was just a demonstration and identification of medicinal properties. A pile of medicinal herbs was placed in front of him. The examiner asked Lin Jun to take out the corresponding amount of medicinal herbs. 50 grams of fire cloud, rhinoceros bone powder, 7 grams of weeping ghost grass, 1 gram of iris flower powder, 1 milliliter of blood dew. Meng Fei quickly listed a prescription for Lin Jun. Take these ingredients in 1 minute. If the error is not more than 3%, you will pass the rank 1 apprentice exam. 1 minute was not a small test for the average apprentice. Moreover, a 3% error was very harsh. The average rank 1 apprentice exam only had a 5% error. The rank 5 alchemist looked at Meng Fei. He did not know why Meng Fei wanted to make things difficult for Lin Jun, but he did not say anything. Meng Fei had his own plans. The scalper outside had already sent him a message and told him about Lin Jun. In his opinion, if he made things difficult for such people and made them leave, then they would have no choice but to look for the scalper. This way, he would be able to earn money. He did not have the guts to make things difficult for the World King just now. However, he did not have to worry about Lin Jun, who was in the nebulous stage. Lin Jun smiled. For him, who was almost at the level of a rank 5 alchemist, getting the ingredients was as simple as breathing. Lin Jun did not even blink. His hands were like lightning, and in the blink of an eye, he had already collected Meng Fei's prescription. The rank 5 alchemist's eyes also revealed a look of surprise. He went over and weighed the ingredients that Lin Jun had grabbed. The error was actually less than 1%. To be precise, it was 1 in 1,000. This result also shocked Meng Fei. One had to know that even if he personally grabbed the ingredients, the error would be 2 or 3 in 1,000. Could it be that Lin Jun's strength was stronger than his? Does this mean that I passed? Of course. I don't know if you have mastered the power of fire now. If you have, then you can show it. As long as you have the power of incandescent flames, you will be qualified to be a rank 2 alchemist. You can officially refine pills. The rank 2 exam was a demonstration of one's firepower. Meng Fei brought a large crystal ball to Lin Jun. You can inject flames into this. As long as you can make it emit incandescent light, you will be considered successful. Lin Jun stretched out his palm and covered the opening on the crystal ball. A ball of fire was injected. Lin Jun did not use a dark cyan flame. He only used a light cyan flame. In less than a minute, the crystal ball emitted a light cyan light. Good. Young man, I see that your flame seems to have some energy left. Very good. The rank 5 alchemist stood up. His face was already a little excited. Lin Jun's performance was somewhat beyond his imagination. Then does this mean that I have passed the rank 2 exam? Yes, according to your grasp of pharmacology and control of the power of fire, you already have the basic ability of an alchemist. If you want to continue the exam, you'll have to test your actual level of alchemy. Do you want to continue the exam? A rank 1 apprentice was not qualified to refine pills. A rank 2 apprentice could barely refine low-level pills. Only rank 3 and above could be considered a real alchemist. Only then would they have status. Of course, I want to continue the exam. Lin Jun came to take the exam. He immediately agreed and prepared to start the official exam. Chapter 631. The first thing Lin Jun wanted to refine was the elemental gathering powder. This was something every alchemist must know. He skillfully grabbed the herbs, lit the fire, and opened the furnace. Everything about Lin Jun was impeccable. He didn't look like a novice at all. It was hard for Meng Fei to imagine that a person who had never taken the pill refinement examination would have such proficient skills. He even had a feeling that the elemental gathering elixir refined by this Lin Jun was even better than the one he refined himself. Rumble. The furnace shook. Success on the first try. A furnace of elemental gathering powder was completed. Lin Jun took it out and said to the two alchemists, "Can the completed pills belong to me?" "Yes, but you have to pay for the herbs." Lin Jun kept the pills and took one out to show it to the two alchemists for them to take a look. TSK, TSK. This color, this smell, the shape, the purity. It's definitely a high-grade elemental gathering powder. The level 5 alchemist kept praising. Meng Fei also analyzed it through the intelligent life in the dimensional universe. The result was that the elemental gathering powder had very little side effects. The fire poison was almost non-existent. How did you get rid of the fire poison? When Lin Jun got rid of the fire poison, he secretly released a bit of cold air. They didn't notice it, so they didn't know the secret behind Lin Jun's removal of the fire poison. Hee hee. Every alchemist has their own unique secrets. This is my secret. Meng Fei heard that Lin Jun wasn't willing to say, and his face sank. Young man, don't think that you can be disrespectful to me just because you passed the level 3 exam. There's a huge difference between level 3 and level 4. You better keep a low profile. If that's the case, I'll take the level 4 exam directly. Will I be the same as you? What? You want to take the level 4 exam? I don't believe it. It's up to you to believe it or not, but please leave now. According to the alchemist exam rules, alchemists of the same level have no right to invigilate the exam. The level 5 alchemist was also in disbelief, but Lin Jun's request was reasonable. He said to Meng Fei, "Then leave. I'll record the content of his exam. I guarantee it's real and effective." Meng Fei's expression was extremely ugly as he lowered his head and left the assessment room. The 5th grade alchemist said, "Lin Jun, before you take the test, I want to tell you that if you pass the 4th grade alchemist test, then you'll be a member of the Alchemist Guild. A 4th grade alchemist is considered a deacon of the guild. This identity is universal everywhere in the Yuan realm. Therefore, I will not play any favoritism in your test. Elder, please be at ease. I'm well aware of this. All right, according to the rules, there needs to be 2 rank 5 elders present to assess you. I'll make a video call and have a friend of mine from Xianlu County invigilate with me." The elder pressed a few buttons, and a large screen appeared on the wall. The dimensional universe was connected, and soon, 2 people appeared. Roar. "Dear old Zhuang, why are you in the mood to look for me? I'm discussing alchemy with Mr. Vice President. It's like this. A young man with excellent aptitude has appeared in our Muwang province. He just turned 1,000 years old this year and came to take the alchemist exam. He has already passed the first 3 levels and is preparing to take the 4th grade alchemist exam. I'm the only one here who is a 5th grade alchemist, so I had no choice but to ask you to invigilate. I didn't expect the vice president to be here as well. Let's go together." The vice president was the vice president of Xianlu County's Alchemist Guild. He was a 6th grade alchemist. He nodded slightly, indicating that they could begin. Facing 2 5th grade elders and a 6th grade vice president invigilating the exam, Lin Jun didn't have any stage fright. He started the Hunter Blossom pill step by step. 10 minutes later, the pill was out of the furnace. His luck today was pretty good. He succeeded in both of his attempts. On the screen, the vice president named Thomas clapped softly. "Genius. Lin Jun, you are a genius alchemist. I just looked up your information. You obtained 1st place in a virtual space in Muwang province and will soon come to Xianlu County's Alchemist Guild to receive special training. If you don't mind, I'm very willing to discuss alchemy techniques with you. I'm very interested in your method of using ice and fire at the same time." Lin Jun was also very happy. If Thomas was really willing to teach him, then he would definitely benefit greatly. He had to go to Xianlu County. Elder Zhuang gave Lin Jun the Alchemist Guild's Deacon's Medal and also signed a contract with Lin Jun. The contract clearly stated that Lin Jun had already become the Alchemist Guild's Deacon and could enjoy a 10% discount when purchasing medicinal ingredients in the guild. When his pills were refined, the guild would have the priority to purchase them if he wanted to sell them. Furthermore, it was guaranteed that the price wouldn't be lower than the market price. Lin Jun glanced at it, signed his name, and entered his genetic data. Henceforth, he joined the guild. On the screen, Thomas said to Lin Jun, "Deacon Lin, your name has already been entered into the Alchemist Guild system. You're already a member of the Alchemist Guild. According to the guild's rules, deacons can have their own exclusive alchemy room and 2-star domain stage bodyguards. The guild can equip them for you or give you cash. Oh, 2 choices? Yes, you could go to the slave market and buy them. If you're provided by the guild, then you'll get 2-star domain stage level 5 bodyguards. If you give up the guild's equipment, then you can get 50 million in cash." Lin Jun thought for a moment and decided to get the money first. He didn't really need star domain stage bodyguards. "I'll go look for them myself. The guild only needs to give me cash." "Okay, Elder Zhuang, you can give Deacon Lin the cash now." 50 million was quickly transferred to his account. Lin Jun bid farewell to the few people and left the guild. On his chest, there were already 4 gold stars that symbolized his status as a level 4 alchemist. These gold stars could be shown or hidden. Lin Jun didn't hide and walked out directly. Shui Feng was waiting there. After seeing Lin Jun, he suddenly smiled and said, "How is it? You know how difficult it is to take the alchemist exam." What? Seeing the 4 gold stars on Lin Jun's chest, Shui Feng swallowed all his words back into his stomach. Lin Jun walked over and patted Shui Feng's shoulder. "Brother, sometimes if you speak too confidently, you will lift a stone and drop it on your own foot." Shui Feng's face turned the color of pig liver. After a while, he said, "I really didn't expect you. Wait a minute. How should you call me?" "Brother." Shui Feng's voice was softer than a mosquito's. "Ha ha ha." Lin Jun smiled and hugged Shui Feng. "Call me Lin Jun from now on. We are brothers." Shui Feng also smiled. Although he lost, Lin Jun was more to his liking. "No, since I lost, I lost. Moreover, you have indeed surpassed me in alchemy. I will follow you from now on. You can teach me alchemy." "Okay, but you must listen to me." "Understood, boss." Shui Feng stood up and saluted. It was unknown where this salute came from, but it looked like he was acting cute. "What are your plans for the future?" "My father taught me to go out and gain experience. First, I will take the exam to become a level 3 alchemist. Then, I will go to the Alchemist Guild in Shimla Province. There, I will cultivate until I reach level 4 before I can go home. Sigh, I have just reached level 3. If I want to become a level 4 alchemist, I am afraid it will be impossible without a few hundred years." Lin Jun glanced at Shui Feng. "If I am not wrong, your father should be the strongest person from Muwang Province, Mr. Shui Jing. He is a super warrior of the immortality realm." Shui Feng looked around like a thief for a long time. "Boss, how did you guess?" "My father did not allow me to tell anyone." "Do you still need a guess?" "I have been to the Temple of Immortality." "That must be your house. Look at your father's statue. It looks like you are made from the same mold. Moreover, your surname is Shui." Shui Feng was stunned. "That's right. I should use an alias. It will be too easy for people to see through me. Then, you will be called Lin Feng. If you change your surname, no one will suspect you." "Okay, I will be called Lin Feng." Lin Feng's mount was a whirlwind beast. Its speed was not as fast as Lin Jun's rock. "Your father must be very rich. Why didn't he get you a better mount?" "He has money, but he doesn't give it to me. He only gave me $100,000 when I left home. I bought it with my own money." Lin Feng mumbled. He then said to Lin Jun, "Boss, I think you should find a place to settle down. Both of us know how to make pills. Why don't we set up a shop? I can help you make pills, and I can teach you some martial arts. After all, I'm also a king. My father said that my talent in martial arts is above his. I will definitely be able to reach the immortality realm in the future." Lin Jun nodded. That was what he was thinking at the moment. He had even thought of a place. He would go to Shimla County to learn how to make pills and cultivate at the same time. He could also learn from the vice president of the Alchemist Guild. Moreover, he had Lin Feng as his martial arts mentor. He could teach him a lot of things. At this time, Lin Jun began to miss his avatar. If he had an avatar, it could help him do many things. Perhaps he should make another avatar so that he could make money and cultivate at the same time. "Okay, I don't have a fixed residence right now. I just happen to want to go to Shimla County's Alchemist Guild to study. You can come with me." "Okay, let's go." I have been locked up at home by my father since I was a child. I can finally leave Muwang province. Lin Feng was even more excited than Lin Jun. This was a child who had always lived under his father's shadow. It wasn't until he cultivated to the World King level that his father released him. However, Lin Jun didn't doubt Lin Feng's combat ability. Although he was only a first-level World King, he was absolutely a powerhouse among World Kings. It was also because of him that Lin Jun didn't need a bodyguard. Let's go. Our destination is Xinla County. Lin Jun had just risen into the air when Lin Feng abandoned his hissing wind beast and ran onto the back of the rock. You're the boss, so you have the obligation to take care of your little brother. My hissing wind beast is as slow as an old granny, so I will follow you. Chapter 632. The primordial realm was often ridiculously large. For example, Muwang province. It sounded like a province, but its diameter was 3 times the size of the Milky Way, 300,000 light-years. Fortunately, after countless years of accumulation, the primordial realm now had teleportation portals scattered all over the place. Otherwise, Lin Jun might not be able to leave Muwang province for the time being. In addition, the primordial realm's teleportation portals also left a deep impression on Lin Jun. From Muwang province, one could teleport directly to Xinla County, and each person's teleportation fee was 10 million. At this moment, Lin Jun had the thought of putting Lin Feng into the dark astral space and taking him away. However, after some hesitation, Lin Jun gave up on the idea. There were too many secrets in the dark astral space, and it was best not to expose them. Knowing that Lin Feng had no money, just as Lin Jun was about to pay, Lin Feng suddenly came to the teleportation portal guard and showed his identity. Then, Lin Jun and Shui Jing were free. Shui Jing was the only immortal-level warrior in Muwang province. All the public facilities in Muwang province were free for him and his family. As his son, Lin Feng could also bring another person along. Boss, now I know that you're really good to me. You're willing to fork out 10 million for me. I didn't call you big brother for nothing. With a flash of light, the two of them arrived at the boundary of Xinla County. Lin Feng was still talking to Lin Jun gratefully. Lin Jun thought to himself, if it wasn't for the fact that the dark astral space couldn't be exposed, who would be willing to spend 10 million for you? Of course, he couldn't say that out loud. Instead, he asked expectantly, is the teleportation portal free for you? No. It's just that the teleportation portal in Muwang province is free. Building a teleportation portal costs a lot of money. My father's influence isn't that great. Once we leave Muwang province, it won't work. Lin Jun nodded. This was normal. However, he was confident that he could make money in Xinla County. Compared to Muwang province, Xianla prefecture was ridiculously large. The two of them left the transfer point and rode their mounts towards the Alchemist Guild. The guild district is located in the northeast of Xianla City. Not only is there the Alchemist Guild, there are also other large guilds. As Lin Feng walked, he checked the dimensional universe and inquired about the Alchemist Guild situation. He chattered endlessly in Lin Jun's ears. Boss, Xianlu Prefecture's Alchemist Guild has several hundred alchemists. Among them, the Guild Master and Vice Guild Master are both rank 6 alchemists. Below them, there are also several rank 5 elders, several hundred attendants, and several hundred low-level alchemists. The Guild Master is Huang Fu Qi, and the Vice Guild Master is Thomas. Yes, I know all that. Lin Jun had done his homework before coming here, so he knew all of this. Hee. Then I'll tell you something you definitely don't know. In Xianlu County, Huang Fu Qi and Thomas are not the strongest alchemists. Oh, then who is the strongest alchemist? Is there a rank 7 alchemist here? There isn't a rank 7 alchemist, but there is a guy who is both a rank 6 alchemist and a rank 6 dark alchemist. Dark alchemist? Yes, dark alchemists practice demonic arts. They can refine those demonic arts pills, and their strength is also very strong. Lin Jun thought. Su Xingyao could also be considered a dark alchemist. His true alchemy level was only at the peak of rank 4, and his methods to reach rank 5 were nothing to speak of. In fact, strictly speaking, Su Xingyao was a rank 5 dark alchemist, as well as a rank 4 alchemist. You still don't know, but 40% of Lu County's alchemy market is controlled by this person. He is a peak world king expert, and it is said that he has the support of a longevity realm expert. However, the longevity realm expert doesn't come out to manage the market, and everything is left to him. This guy is super rich. What's his name? Gu Yunting, a person who is both good and evil. People say that if he didn't juggle dark alchemy and business, he would have already become a rank 7 alchemist. His talent is definitely above Huang Fuqi and Thomas. Lin Jun noted down this name. If he wanted to enter the alchemy market, he might have a chance to deal with this person. After 2 hours of flying, they finally arrived at Lu County's northeast city. The rock descended from the sky, and the two of them arrived at the entrance of the Alchemist Guild. A rank 3 alchemist and a rank 4 alchemist swaggered into the Alchemist Guild. The guards at the entrance didn't stop them, because the scanning system at the entrance could easily see their identities. Since they were alchemists, they were members of the guild, and there was no need to stop them. Lin Feng felt a bit lightheaded as he walked. This was because when he passed by the entrance, the people who had lined up for more than 10 kilometers to ask for alchemy pills all looked at him with reverence. He even whispered in Lin Zhan's ear, "Boss, look, they all admire me for being a world king." Bullshit. Why don't you try talking to them and see what they call you? This is Lu County. A world king is nothing. Lin Feng was unconvinced as he greeted one of the people. That person was immediately overwhelmed by the favor and said, "Mr. Alchemist, hello, hello. Boss, they really don't care about my identity as a world king." Lin Jun smiled and brought him into the guild. "Respected Deacon Lin Jun, hello. May I ask how can I help you?" The beautiful blonde lady smiled and greeted Lin Jun. As for Lin Feng, who was licking her chest and belly, she didn't seem to see him at all. Help me contact Mr. Thomas. Tell him that Lin Jun is here to visit." "Okay, please wait a moment." The lady immediately contacted him through the dimensional universe, and then said to Lin Jun, "Mr. Deacon, Vice President Thomas is waiting for you in his building. You can go there, but your followers are not allowed to enter the Vice President's courtyard without permission." What followers? I'm a world king. Have you seen a world king as a follower?" Lin Feng was furious. "I've seen too many. Every elder in our guild has 2 peak level 9 world kings as followers. However, this is the first time I've seen a world king like you." Hee hee. The lady covered her mouth and giggled. Lin Feng choked on the spot and couldn't say anything. He looked at Lin Jun timidly. Without waiting for Lin Jun to reply, the lady smiled and said, "You can rest in Deacon Lin Jun's alchemy room." Lin Jun was stunned. "I have an alchemy room?" Of course, every deacon-level alchemy room has its own separate alchemy room and lounge because deacons also have 2 domain monarch bodyguards. Although you brought a realm king with you, this kind of thing is very common. "Where's my alchemy room?" "It's on the 2nd floor of this building, room 3309. This is what the vice president told me." The Alchemist Guild's building was ridiculously large. There were thousands of rooms on one floor. "How are you, Lin Feng? Wait for me in my room. I'll come find you after I meet the vice president." Lin Feng nodded gloomily. As the son of an immortal powerhouse, a world king, and now an alchemist, this was the first time he felt that he wasn't valued. Lin Jun left the building alone. Thomas's courtyard was at the back of the building. It wasn't just him. Every elder had their own courtyard and building. However, as the vice president, his courtyard was bigger and more luxurious. When he arrived at the courtyard, the door opened automatically. A light arrow in the air pointed the way for Lin Jun. He walked slowly. There were pavilions, gardens, waterside pavilions, and bamboo paths. The environment was very beautiful. How luxurious. There are even night pearls at the corners. With a splash, a white arowana leaped out of the water surface of the small lake nearby. Lin Jun had seen this kind of fish in Muwang province before. It was sold for 100,000 yuan. He didn't expect to see it in the lake. However, what was even more shocking was that a golden bird suddenly swooped down, grabbed the arowana, and flew away. It seemed like it was going to be the dinner. That's a rock, and it has evolved again. I didn't expect that a fish that cost 100,000 yuan would be used to feed the bird. Lin Jun was speechless. Alchemists were indeed rich. The light arrow in the air led Lin Jun through the garden and arrived at a huge villa deep in the garden. The door opened automatically, and Lin Jun entered the house. There was a black-haired lady sitting in the living room. She was tasting red wine. When she saw Lin Jun enter, she raised her glass and greeted Lin Jun. "Welcome, young man." Hello, senior." "Hello. The weather is good today. I hope you're in a good mood." Lin Jun walked forward mechanically because he saw that the lady in black was an immortal-level martial artist. "I've seen another immortal level, and it's a lady." Lin Jun followed the light arrow to the third floor and came to the door of a room. "Welcome, Lin Jun. The vice president is waiting for you." When the second immortal-level martial artist appeared, Lin Jun felt numb. After entering the room, the smell of medicine assailed his nostrils. Thomas raised his head from behind a table and smiled at Lin Jun. "Take a seat. I'll be done soon." Then, he looked at the man who opened the door. "All right, it's fine here for now. You can go downstairs and have a drink with your wife." The man in black glanced at Lin Jun. He felt that Lin Jun would not be a threat to Thomas. He turned around and closed the door. "Mr. Thomas, these two people, this is arranged by the headquarters. Every level 6 alchemist will be accompanied by 2 immortal-level martial artists as bodyguards. Because in the headquarters view, the value of a level 6 alchemist is higher than an immortal-level martial artist." This sentence caused Lin Jun's mind to buzz for a moment, letting him know how valuable an alchemist was. More importantly, he knew that his black hole beast's soul-searching talent was an abnormal talent. Chapter 633. Lin Jun watched from the side as Thomas prepared the potion. Thomas had already agreed with Lin Jun that if Lin Jun needed a mentor, he would be Lin Jun's mentor. In Thomas's opinion, Lin Jun was a genius in alchemy. If he was carefully nurtured, he would definitely shine brightly in the future. Thomas wasn't making pills, but potions. Pills were actually a general term. Other than the golden pill, there are also potions, powders, granules, and many others. Look carefully. This is Dragon Blood Potion. After drinking it, it will increase your strength and toughen your skin. Moreover, it has a natural deterrent effect on demonic beasts like snakes and insects. Lin Jun immediately focused on listening to Thomas's explanation. In this aspect, Su Xingyao had also dabbled in, but his level wasn't high. About 20 minutes later, the potion was ready. Su Xingyao suddenly said, "Lin Jun, inject your cold aura." Lin Jun raised his hand, and a cold aura of negative 150 degrees Celsius appeared in his hand. "There's no need to be so low. 70 degrees Celsius will do." The cold aura was lowered and injected into the Dragon Blood Potion. He thought that the blood would immediately solidify, but he didn't expect it to solidify slowly. In the end, it didn't turn into ice, but something similar to jelly. It's done. With this refrigeration technique, the Dragon Blood Potion can be placed on the shelves for sale. Do you understand now? Lin Jun nodded. He already knew how to make this potion. "All right, sit down. You came here as a reward from the Dimensional Universe Corporation. Moreover, you and I are fated. If you don't mind, follow me in alchemy in the future. I guarantee that you will become a guild elder within 20 years. A guild elder was a grade 5 alchemist, an existence even more respected than a world king. For Thomas to make such a promise to Lin Jun, it was enough to show how much importance he attached to Lin Jun. "Then I'll have to trouble you, teacher." Lin Jun immediately bowed to Thomas. It doesn't matter if you're a teacher or not. The most important thing is that you have the ability to survive here. Thomas said sternly, "The Alchemist Guild will not provide you with medicinal ingredients for free. Even if it's me, I will have to buy them at a 30% discount. Your consumption of pills will definitely not be small. If you can't sell your pills, then your life will be tough. Even if you have $1 billion in your hands, it will be used up in no time." "Teacher, don't worry. This shouldn't be a problem." Lin Jun's elemental gathering powder dispelled the fire poison. Given enough time, it would definitely succeed in the market. "And you go first. If you want to sell pills, it's best to buy a shop in advance. You can talk to the front desk." Lin Jun nodded and added their dimensional universe numbers to each other before leaving his courtyard. Returning to the main building, Lin Jun first found the lady at the front desk and asked her to help him purchase a shop. If there were some goods that were rarely traded in the dimensional universe, then it should be pills. Because the ingredients of pills were too complicated and difficult to understand, if it wasn't a shop that was well known, most people wouldn't dare to buy it. Even if they bought it, it might be a fake. Moreover, there was no way to reason with these things. For example, the elemental gathering powder definitely had the ingredients to increase one's strength. However, it wasn't certain by how much. After all, in the dimensional universe, one wouldn't be able to distinguish the ingredients of a pill. Even if one were to seek compensation, it would be a bullsh asterisk T lawsuit. The seller would say that there was a problem with one's physique, or that there was no way to prove how much one had improved. Therefore, the biggest transaction for pills was still within the shop. The lady at the front desk, Suzanne, was very happy to serve Lin Jun, because in her opinion, Lin Jun was the same as her, belonging to the category of young people. Alchemists were mostly old antiques. Suzanne felt that she was old after interacting with them every day. She was 700 years old this year, and Lin Jun was 1,000 years old. How young were the two of them? Lin Jun found his own alchemy room on the 3rd floor. This kind of deacon-level alchemy room had the same specifications. Inside, there was a pill furnace, a medicine cabinet, a blower, and so on. It was fully equipped. However, the pill furnace didn't look as good as the one he used. Lin Feng stayed in the room. When he saw Lin Jun replace the pill furnace, he immediately asked for the eliminated pill furnace. "Boss, I want to refine pills too. Let me use this." "Use it as you wish. Followers have human rights too. I'm not a follower. I'm a world king." Level 1. Lin Jun patiently stayed in the Alchemist Guild. Susanna's work efficiency was very fast. On the 5th day, Lin Jun found a house. It was a prime location, and he only needed 10 million to get it. Thus, the large amount of pills he had in his hands could be listed on the market. The shop was named Ice Fire Divine Pill by Lin Jun. The important attribute of no fire poison was marked on it. Moreover, on every pill, there was Lin Jun's exclusive logo, a flame above a frozen air. Poison and side effects troubled every user. Lin Jun believed that his pills would definitely occupy the market very quickly. The 50 million in his hand was all used to buy medicine. Lin Jun began to work without sleep. His alchemy skills became more and more skillful. Every day, large amounts of elemental gathering powder and 100 flower pills were refined from his hands. During this period, Lin Jun didn't think about anything. He didn't even look at the goods in the dimensional universe. He wanted to earn money as fast as possible. Lin Feng also temporarily left the guild to help Lin Jun manage the shop. He really became a follower. Things went as Lin Jun expected. On the first day of the shop's opening, more than 50 bottles of pills were sold. This was already very impressive for a newly opened shop without any foundation. The price of each bottle of elemental gathering powder was 100,000. After deducting the cost of Lin Jun's alchemy, each bottle could earn 70,000. On the first day, he earned more than 3 million. But this was just the beginning. The sales climbed all the way to the peak. On the 10th day, the sales had reached 400 bottles. Even if Lin Jun was crazily refining pills, the supply still couldn't meet the demand. In addition, there was also the sales of 100 flower pills, which could bring about 6 million to Lin Jun every day. In desperation, Lin Jun had to start limiting the supply to 200 bottles a day. Even so, he didn't have much time to do other things. He could only refine a little more than 200 bottles a day. The sales of elemental gathering powder and 100 flower pills could bring about 20 million to Lin Jun every day. These days lasted for 2 whole months. The news of Ice Fire Divine Pill and an alchemist who was proficient in both ice and fire spread. But 2 months later, Lin Jun's shop also had some trouble, because around him, 6 pill shops had opened at the same time. Ice Fire Mortal Pill, Ice Fire Holy Pill, Ice Fire Divine Medicine, Ice Fire Dual Spirit Pill. The names were similar, and in many of the medicine shops, there were actually Lin Jun's pills for sale. Among these pills, there were often a few of Lin Jun's pills mixed with other medicines. The other medicines had a characteristic, which was that they also had ice and fire characteristics, but they were not very successful in dispelling the poison. The quality of the pills was uneven, which immediately caused the reputation of the ice-fire divine pill to be somewhat bad. This meant that there was another alchemist who was proficient in both ice and fire at the same time who was going against Lin Jun. Moreover, ordinary customers could not buy authentic ice-fire divine pills at all. This was because there were some bad martial artists blocking the entrance of Lin Jun's medicine shop every day. As long as the pills arrived, they would immediately take them all and then brazenly sell them at other pill shops. This way, the other shops would all lose money. Lin Jun was still making money, but the number of people buying Ice-Fire Divine pills was getting fewer and fewer. Lin Jun had just earned 2 months of stable money when he was attacked by others. Lin Jun already had $2 billion in his hands. Originally, he wanted to earn a year and a half before leaving to find Feng Qingwan. However, he did not expect to be cut off. "Boss, I went to the other shops, but they said that they were all acting under orders. If you want to change the situation, then go talk to their boss. Otherwise, this kind of day will continue until no one buys Ice-Fire Divine pills anymore." "Who is their boss?" "It's the person I told you about before, Gu Yunting." Lin Jun nodded, packed up his things, and stopped refining pills for the time being. He was going to find Thomas and ask about this Gu Yunting. After arriving at Thomas's courtyard and seeing him, Lin Jun told him about the recent events. Thomas was silent for a long time before saying, "Lin Jun, Gu Yunting's power is very strong. He can monopolize 40% of the pill market in Xinla County. You can guess how much power is behind this person. If it doesn't work, you could take the pills back to the Alchemist Guild. The guild will sell them for you. This way, there won't be a disturbance in the market." "Doesn't the guild have a way to deal with him? Isn't he a member of the Alchemist Guild?" Thomas smiled bitterly. He used to be not only a member of the guild, but also the guild's president. "Strictly speaking, he was my senior brother. We used to learn alchemy under the same teacher. Gu Yunting also had the best aptitude. Later on, he also became the president. However, because he practiced dark alchemy, he was removed from the list by the teacher. There was no way for him to be the president, so the current president took over. However, Gu Yunting's strength is very strong, and his connections are also very strong. With the support of others, he actually made a name for himself. I'm sure that the other person who is proficient in ice and fire is him. He would rather spend a lot of money to drive you out of the pill market. Lin Jun, you can't win against him. Even official methods won't work. We've already tried many times." Lin Jun nodded. "I understand. Then I won't go through the guild." After saying that, Lin Jun walked out of Thomas's room. When he walked out, Lin Jun suddenly turned around and asked Thomas, "Then what if Gu Yunting suddenly dies?" Chapter 634. Lin Jun wasn't joking with Thomas. On the way to find Thomas, he had thought about this matter. Not only did he think about it, but he even had a plan in his heart. He didn't return to the alchemy room, but went straight to his shop. Lin Feng was there too. In front of the shop, a few Star Sector stage martial artists were standing there casually. When they saw Lin Jun, they immediately waved their hands. Closed. There's no stock today. If you want to buy pills, go to the other shops." Lin Jun looked around. There was a realm king sitting under a big tree in the distance. This was to ensure that no one else could buy pills. "Move aside, this is my shop." "Aya, so it's the ice and fire alchemist. Haha, how is it? Can't sit still anymore, right? If you can't sit still, you can go and beg Mr. Gu. If he's in a good mood, he might give you a meal." "Yes, you want to make a living in Xinla Prefecture's pill market without going to Mr. Gu's pier. You're really brave." Lin Jun looked at the domain kings. "Are you done? If you're done, get lost." "What did you say? Are you tired of living?" The domain kings wanted to attack. The realm king walked over and waved his hand to chase them away. "Mr. Lin Jun, don't lower yourself to the same level as these boors. However, Mr. Gu asked me to pass you a message." "What is there to say?" "Mr. Gu said that he can give you a high salary of 100 million every month to be his personal alchemist. I guarantee that your pills will be popular in the entire Xinla Prefecture. Is there anything else? If not, get lost." Lin Jun didn't give the Realm King any face. The Realm King's expression changed. He wanted to attack, but when he remembered that Lin Jun was the key point of Gu Yunting's orders, he really didn't dare to touch Lin Jun. He used his hand to point at Lin Jun's nose. "You want to do this the hard way? Let's see how long your shop can last." After saying that, he returned to his previous seat and sat down, not allowing anyone else to enter the shop. Lin Jun returned to the shop and saw Lin Feng checking the items in the dimensional universe. "What are you doing?" "Boss, you're here. I'm looking for a powerful guy to perish together with that bastard Gu Yunting." For the past few days, Lin Feng had been receiving so much money that his hands were about to go soft. His days were very happy. Suddenly, something like this happened, which made him very angry. "Why do we have to perish together?" Lin Jun sat down. "Boss, if I were a 9th level world king, then I would kill that fellow without hesitation. But this person is stronger than me, and I am not his match. What else can I do but perish together with him? My father said that as long as I don't die outside, he won't care. Can you find detailed information about that Gu Yunting?" Yes. His information isn't a secret, and I have a very high level of authority. I can get it for you." After a while, Lin Feng shared Gu Yunting's information with Lin Jun. Lin Jun took the information and walked into the lounge, carefully looking through it. Gu Yunting, 9th level world king. Peak 6th level alchemist. Peak 6th level dark alchemist. Estimated star force of 3 million. There were many other introductions, such as how rich he was. But Lin Jun only paid attention to this. He wanted to ascertain just how strong Gu Yunting was so that he could make a move. At the world king level, even a 1st level world king would have a minimum star force of around 800,000. The slightly better ones would have a star force of over a million. For instance, a relatively talented genius like Lin Feng, his star force had reached 5 million. Gu Yunting was a 9th level world king. His star force of 3 million was average, neither high nor low. But it was still too high for the current Lin Jun. At the very least, with Lin Jun's current star force of 710,000, it was absolutely impossible for him to compete with Gu Yunting. However, Lin Jun also had his own plans. He had a deal with Gu Yunting, but he didn't have to do it himself. Since the alchemy was temporarily suspended, Lin Jun simply wanted to make an avatar. A good avatar could have a higher realm than the main body. After Shaon Wan's resurrection, Lin Jun hadn't found a suitable avatar material. It wasn't that he didn't want to find one, but it was difficult to find one. The avatar of a supergalactic beast was useless for the current Lin Jun. For example, the Fire Qilint's avatar. Its star force level was inferior to Lin Jun's main body. It was useless. Only a better avatar would have a higher upper limit of strength. But in the universe, a supergalactic beast was the best avatar material that most people knew. Where could he find a better one? Did he have to find a black hole, beast-level avatar? Not to mention whether he could find one. Even if he found one, it would only be on par with Lin Jun's main body. If he wanted to use it to deal with Gu Yunting, it wouldn't be enough. Lin Jun's fingers tapped on the table rhythmically as he quickly searched through his memories. He wasn't recalling his own memories, but memories of Su Xingyao. Su Xingyao was a genius. While refining pills, he was also able to cultivate the dark alchemy technique. In the end, he really found a way to survive in a situation of certain death. If he hadn't met Lin Jun, but someone else, Su Xingyao would have been able to come back to life and obtain a new life. This was because his method of body possession was practically an unprecedented path. All the other legends about body possession were that when a person died, the soul had no choice but to possess someone else. However, there was no guarantee that it would succeed. It might not even happen once in 100 million miles. Su Xingyao's method of body possession had never been seen before. If Su Xingyao succeeded in body possession, then he would have inherited Lin Jun's previous strength, a level 4 galactic system. Lin Jun knew how to use this method as well. Could it be that I have to find a dying person to possess and then use as an avatar? My mental power has now improved to the perfection of the Emerald Ray level. If I want to possess someone, I really have a chance of success. But to possess a high-level world king, even if he is about to die, I'm afraid it won't be easy. Lin Jun's mental power had improved to the perfection of the Emerald Ray level after the training of the Mirage in the virtual space. Lin Jun had also figured out the mental power realm above the Emerald Ray level. Above the Emerald Ray level was mental power forming the nascent soul. The reason why the Emerald Ray level was completely different from the 99 level was because the mental power of the Emerald Ray level had reached saturation and could begin to form the nascent soul. For example, Lin Jun's current mental power had already begun to fully condense without any flaws. It was just that there were no signs of forming the nascent soul inside. Once the mental power formed the nascent soul, not only would the body's mental power skyrocket, but the nascent soul would also be able to fly out of the body and directly attack the opponent's spiritual sea, ignoring all physical defenses and physical attacks. At this point, as long as the difference in realm wasn't too great, the nascent soul would be able to determine the outcome of the battle. Lin Jun felt that if he wanted to possess a World King expert, he should be able to do it by condensing his mental power into the nascent soul. What I need now is mental power medicine. I can ask my teacher about this. Although mental power medicine is a little expensive, I should be able to afford it now. Thomas was a very good teacher. After Lin Jun returned, he asked him how to concoct mental power medicine, and he taught Lin Jun without reservation. Perhaps Thomas's alchemy skills weren't the strongest among the 6th grade alchemists, but his mastery and comprehension of medicine could be called a supermaster. Under his guidance, Lin Jun's alchemy skills also advanced by leaps and bounds. However, concocting mental power medicine wasn't easy. Mental power was the most complicated thing, and Lin Jun needed a large amount. Only after he advanced to a 5th grade alchemist could he complete the concoction independently. Lin Jun simply focused on his studies. During this time, the Ice Fire Divine pill didn't close for business. Lin Feng's daily task was to continue to guard the medicine shop. He made it seem like he was doing alchemy every day, so the people outside didn't dare to let down their guard. Lin Jun could be considered to be wasting time with Gu Yunting. If he had the ability, then so be it. After all, the house was his. If he didn't make money, then so be it. There would be a day when he would reopen. What? That Lin Jun rejected my proposal. The Soaring Sky building was Gu Yunting's foundation. He was refining pills indoors when he heard the report of his subordinate, King Kai, and was a little stunned. Then Gu Yunting sneered. He didn't expect that there would be such an ignorant person in this world. He didn't give him any face at all. It seemed that this alchemist was still too young and didn't understand who had the final say in this market. Since that was the case, then he would make it impossible for him to continue his business and see how long he could last. One day, he would understand that as long as he wanted to do alchemy business in Xinla County, he had to listen to him. After instructing his subordinates to continue guarding, Gu Yunting slowly opened the furnace. Failed again. This Ice Fire Divine pill is actually so difficult to refine. I have studied it for so long, but I still can't completely imitate it. What is a galaxy stage energy gathering powder? If I can refine energy gathering powder for Starfield stage and King Kai stage, then that would be the real money. Gu Yunting couldn't help but envy Lin Jun. This young man must be a genius at alchemy. If he was given a little more time, if he still couldn't see the situation clearly, then Gu Yunting could only personally destroy Lin Jun. If he wanted to stabilize the alchemy market in Xinla County, he had to ensure that he was the strongest alchemist. Although the guild's president, Huang Fuqi, and vice president, Thomas, were good, they were still inferior to him. Only by holding the title of the strongest alchemist could he dominate the market and bring in a huge amount of money for the people behind him. He could only rely on the people behind him. Only then would he be able to break through to the immortal realm. This was related to his life. He couldn't allow anyone to ruin it. Every day, Lin Jun concentrated on learning alchemy and grasping the theory of medicine. When the original medicinal effect disappeared, Lin Jun would swallow an energy-gathering powder to increase his realm. This kind of life lasted for a full 3 years. Lin Jun advanced from the original Galaxy Stage 5 to Galaxy Stage 8. His star power increased from the original 710,000 to 900,000. Chapter 635. Thomas was overjoyed that Lin Jun had successfully refined the essence-gathering powder for the Star Domain stage and was promoted to a 5th-grade alchemist. It had to be known that Lin Jun was only 1,003 years old, and he was already a 5th-grade alchemist. With such talent, it wasn't impossible for him to advance to a 7th-grade alchemist in the future. Thomas and Huang Fuqi announced on the spot that Lin Jun was promoted to an elder of the Alchemist Guild. Moreover, the guild could provide Lin Jun with 2 World King level bodyguards. Lin Jun said that he already had a World King level bodyguard, and that was Lin Feng. Although Lin Feng was only a 2nd level World King, his star force had reached 7 million. He could be considered a decent master. Moreover, the guild could pay his bodyguard a salary. This was just right for Lin Feng, who was busy with the shop. Lin Feng had really become a follower. He was originally a bit resistant to this identity, but when the generous salary was placed in front of him, this unprincipled fellow immediately accepted his fate. As for the other bodyguard, Lin Jun wasn't in a hurry. He could find one whenever he wanted. The original small alchemy room had also been changed. It had been changed into an independent courtyard with all kinds of facilities. The treatment of an elder was different from that of a deacon. However, none of this was important to Lin Jun. What was important was that he could finally concoct mental strength potions. He could use Emerald Edge's perfect mental strength to give birth to a divine infant. For the past 3 years, he had been studying information about divine infants all the time. He could already be called a grandmaster when it came to giving birth to a divine infant. For others, it was fine to give birth to a divine infant using their mental strength. However, Lin Jun wasn't willing to give up. His divine infant was to be used to seize the body of a World King Master. When choosing a target to seize, he had to choose a powerhouse. As for those true powerhouses, each of them had a divine infant. As long as their flames of life hadn't been extinguished, their divine infant would still be very strong. Therefore, Lin Jun's figure had to be stronger than other people's divine infant. For this matter, Lin Jun had specifically asked Lin Feng to ask his father if there was a way to strengthen the nascent soul. Although Lin Feng was with Lin Jun, Shui Jing knew his every move. Knowing that Lin Jun wanted to ask, he told Lin Jun a piece of news he had heard before. Shui Jing was not sure about this either. It was just a legend. It was said that when the heavens and earth were created, if the elemental essence of energy could be gathered, it could be condensed into a divine infant's weapon. However, the process was extremely painful, but once it succeeded, the divine infant would be much more powerful than other divine infants in battle. After all, a person with a knife was much more powerful than an empty-handed person. Lin Jun had also researched this matter for a long time, and he had really come up with something. The energy essence of the creation of heaven and earth was actually the purple energy within Lin Jun's dark star space. Furthermore, Lin Jun had gathered all the energy elements to form a new world with a complete ecosystem. This was not difficult for Lin Jun. For the past 3 years, he had been gathering the elemental essence of energy and condensing it outside his spiritual sea. These energy elements could change shape at will. Lin Jun had been preparing for a long time, and now it was finally time to reap the rewards. Teacher, what do you think of the concoction of this spiritual power medicine? Lin Jun asked Thomas. He was willing to call him teacher. Although Thomas might not have anything to teach him after a while, Lin Jun would never forget his 3 years of teaching. Without Thomas's pharmaceutics, Lin Jun would not have been able to conceive a divine infant. Thomas took the medicine and carefully looked, smelled, and tasted it. In the end, he gave Lin Jun a thumbs up. Lin Jun, today I know what it means for the student to surpass the master. Your talent has surprised me. I now declare that you can graduate from my apprenticeship. When it comes to pharmaceutics, especially spiritual power medicine, your understanding has already surpassed mine. It's all thanks to teacher's careful guidance. Lin Jun will never forget it. Go. I know you want to conceive a divine infant. Remember, the color of the divine infant is the same as the color of your spiritual power advancement. Starting from the bronze level, the silver level, the gold level, the dark power level, the diamond level, the azure level, and finally the emerald level. The higher the color of your divine infant, the stronger your spiritual power is. Then what level is teacher's divine infant? Thomas was a 9th level world king, so Lin Jun wanted to ask. Haha, I'm ashamed. My main focus is on alchemy. Not only is my realm stuck at the 9th level world king, but my divine infant is only at the late bronze level. As Thomas spoke, his mind stirred and a small person appeared out of thin air. One could vaguely make out that it was a little boy. It looked like a 1-year-old baby with bronze skin. It had yet to enter the silver level. However, such a small person was able to make Lin Jun's emerald-level spiritual power fluctuate. If Thomas wanted to use this divine infant to deal with him, Lin Jun wouldn't be able to resist. After seeing Thomas's divine infant, Lin Jun yearned for it even more. After bidding farewell to Thomas, Lin Jun returned to his courtyard. He closed the door and forbade anyone from disturbing him. He was about to begin his breakthrough. He sat on the bed with a table in front of him. On the table was the spiritual power medicine that Lin Jun had prepared. Over the past 3 years, he had practiced the method of breaking through to the divine infant countless times in his mind. It was basically foolproof. Perhaps the only difficulty was to transform his elemental energy into a divine weapon and enter his spiritual sea. The so-called divine weapon was the weapon of the divine infant. He closed his eyes slightly, and his mind hovered in his spiritual sea. Emerald-level spiritual power was abundant in his spiritual sea. The conditions for nurturing the divine infant were fully met. However, before that, Lin Jun had to plant a divine weapon in his spiritual sea. It might be very painful, but Lin Jun was least afraid of pain. As long as he didn't die from the pain, Lin Jun could bear it. He believed that Shui Jing wouldn't speak carelessly. After all, his son was with him. If he could say something like that, it meant that he had a lot of confidence. First, he fused the elemental energy that he had accumulated over the years and transformed it into the shape of a long spear. Under the guidance of his spiritual power, the long spear slowly pierced into the emerald-level spiritual power mass. As the long spear pierced into his spiritual sea, Lin Jun couldn't help but let out a roar. The pain was almost as painful as having one's soul pass through a black hole. If 100 million people did this at the same time, 90 million of them might faint on the spot, while the remaining 10 million would give up on the spot. No one would be able to endure it. However, Lin Jun wasn't among those 100 million people. Among 1 trillion people, there might not even be one person who could endure more than Lin Jun. The process was so painful that Lin Jun gritted his teeth and stabbed the long spear fiercely. With a loud bang, all the muscles in his body twitched. Lin Jun fainted on the spot from the pain, then immediately woke up and fainted again. This repeated countless times. Lin Jun gritted his teeth and didn't give up. He allowed his spiritual power to fuse with the long spear. He even forgot about the passage of time as he hovered between life and death in the room alone. On the first day, he fainted 300 times. On the third day, he fainted 100 times. On the 5th day, he fainted 7 times. On the 10th day, he only fainted once. He gradually adapted to the pain. If his soul hadn't passed through a black hole, the pain would have been enough to kill him. It was only because his soul was strong enough that he managed to endure the hellish 10 days. On the 11th day, the pain in his mind disappeared. A long spear formed from elemental energy had finally completely fused into his spiritual sea. It's time. Damn it, this kind of pain isn't something that humans can endure. Fortunately, I've finally made it through. However, it's all worth it. Once my nascent soul is born, it'll be equipped with a weapon. It'll have a huge advantage against other nascent souls. His clothes were wet and dry, then wet and dry again. Lin Jun trembled as he picked up a bottle of spiritual power medicine from the table and drank it all in one gulp. The powerful medicine rushed into his mind and entered his spiritual power mass. A life aura rose in his spiritual sea. Lin Jun felt that a young life was about to be born. The second bottle. He picked up the second bottle of medicine and drank it again. The life aura finally became clearer. Lin Jun didn't care about anything else. He grabbed the medicine on the table that had been prepared beforehand and drank it one after another. Streams of life aura continuously cleansed Lin Zhan's spiritual sea. When he drank the 10th bottle of medicine, the life aura finally stopped increasing. It was full. Lin Zhan stopped drinking the medicine and began to focus on cultivating and waiting. At that moment, his spiritual sea was like an egg. In the center of the egg, an embryo was slowly taking shape. The emerald ray level spiritual power began to continuously enter the embryo to nurture life. Gradually, the emerald ray level spiritual power began to decline and turned into a sky blue color. From sky blue, it fell to diamond and then to dark gold. The dark gold color dropped further, turning into gold and then silver. When it turned bronze, Lin Zhan's embryo was about to take shape and form a nascent soul. Finally, the bronze spiritual power disappeared. The spiritual power became the nourishment for nurturing the nascent soul. In the end, it turned into a transparent white color. This was the initial state of spiritual power. Time passed day by day during this process. In the blink of an eye, 10 months had passed. Nurturing the nascent soul was not an easy task. Spiritual power was the nourishment. This was a very important step for a warrior. It would usually take 10 months to nurture a nascent soul successfully. After 10 months of bitter cultivation, Lin Zhan's body was already in a state of extreme exhaustion. However, his spiritual power was abnormally excited. When the 10th month arrived, the last trace of the bronze aura in his spiritual sea disappeared. The embryo in his spiritual sea finally broke out of its cocoon at that moment. A crack finally appeared in the egg-shaped spiritual power mass. Using his spiritual power to probe, Lin Zhan could clearly see a fair, chubby little boy sitting in the center of the egg with a 7-colored spear in his arms. He slowly opened his eyes. Chapter 636. The divine infant opened its eyes, and a wisp of bronze-colored mind power reappeared in Lin Zhan's spiritual sea. The spiritual sea was the divine infant's home. Now that it had been born, it had automatically entered the beginner level of bronze. However, this newly born bronze level mind power was even stronger than Lin Zhan's emerald ray level mind power. The divine infant looked like a chubby baby. When it sensed Lin Zhan looking at it, it opened its tiny mouth and giggled. It waved the rainbow spear in its hand as it greeted Lin Zhan. Lin Zhan was also very excited. He had gone through a lot of trouble to nurture this divine infant. Lin Zhan had even thought of giving up during that time. However, when he saw it today, he felt that it was all worth it. Lin Zhan's mind power kept teasing the divine infant. The divine infant kept giggling as it waved the spear in its hand back and forth. Various colors of energy flowed on the spear. The spear was not a physical object, but it was extremely lethal to other divine infants. After a while, the divine infant seemed to be a little tired and started to rest. When the divine infant fell asleep, Lin Zhan's mind power began to slowly increase. Lin Zhan finally stopped working in satisfaction. He quickly got up and checked his body's condition. In another 2 months, Lin Zhan would be able to consume the energy-gathering elixir again and advance to level 9 nebula level. The expansion of the dark cosmos would also increase. It was estimated that within 3 years, Lin Zhan would be able to light up the 3rd star, the star of 5 demons. In short, his future was bright. After tidying up, Lin Zhan walked out of the room. As soon as he came out, he saw Lin Feng sleeping soundly on the bed outside. Hey, wake up. Your father is here to take you home. Where are you? Lin Feng got up immediately. He was fine outside, but he did not want to go home. No matter how deep he slept, he would immediately get up and run away. Boss, you're out. Yeah, long time no see. Lin Zhan glanced at Lin Feng. Lin Feng froze for a moment, then covered his eyes with his hands. Boss, your eyes are so scary. I feel like my eyes are going to be hurt by your gaze. I've made some breakthroughs in my spiritual power, but I might not be able to control it well. Congratulations, boss. What are we going to do now? Leaving Xianlu Prefecture? Why do you want to leave Xianlu County? There's no business in the shops either. That Gu Yunting is going to fight us to the death. He's playing with us with 5 shops. He's rich and doesn't care at all. But we can't afford to continue like this. My salary is all gone. You can even spend a salary of a few million every month. You're really something. Alchemy requires money, boss. I don't have as high a success rate as you. I basically can't make any money. Moreover, what can a few million do? If you don't come out, I'll have to go out and beg for food. All right. Let's go out for a stroll and eat something good. I haven't eaten anything for 10 months. I'm starving to death. All right. I've already chosen a few restaurants. I'm just waiting for you to come out to celebrate. Then you'll pay the bill. No way. I'm just a follower. How can a follower pay the bill? The two bickered all the way out of the Alchemist Guild. Lin Jun originally wanted to go see Thomas, but he was told that Thomas had gone out. He could only bring Lin Feng and Lin Feng out. The place Lin Feng chose was really good. It was called the Tasteful Restaurant. The dishes were exquisite and delicious. It was one of the top restaurants in Xianlu County. The cost of a single meal here was several $100,000. Those who could come here were basically martial artists of a certain level. Star Domain stage martial artists were common, and World King powerhouses often came here. In the primordial realm, those below the black hole stage were considered ordinary. Only those who had passed the black hole stage could be considered martial artists. The Tasteful Restaurant was not open to ordinary people. Those who could come here to eat and drink were all martial artists. The two of them ordered a table full of dishes. As they ate and drank, they listened to the conversations of the people around them. Hey, a relative came over from my hometown. He insisted on telling me how strong a world king was in his hometown. At that time, I laughed. Has that country bumpkin ever seen a true powerhouse? Does he know what a world king is? Then what do you think a true world king powerhouse is like? In the primordial realm, there are as many world kings as there are carps in the river. There are also countless geniuses. But in my opinion, a true powerhouse world king is divided into races. Only those races with super strong talent can give birth to a true powerhouse world king. At this time, someone else joined in the debate. I think the humans are very strong. They have the most numbers and the most powerhouses. No. The humans are simply too numerous. Moreover, at the World King stage, I think the World Kings of the Dark Demon race are the strongest. Their physiques are strong, their innate spiritual power is strong, and they also have evil spirits protecting their bodies. They are much stronger than humans. Then I would say the angels are strong, especially the blazing angels. They are simply abnormal, even among World Kings. Angels can defeat the Titans? You must be kidding me. The Titans might not be the strongest. What about the light god race that the angels serve? They should be able to suppress the Titans. What about the three-eyed god race? They have fought with the light god race for countless years. The strength of their powerhouses is simply terrifying. The group of domain monarch powerhouses argued endlessly, but in the end, a domain monarch said, in my opinion, every race has its own powerhouses. Even the weak races have outstanding individuals. For example, those wanted world kings, which one of them didn't kill countless people and have outstanding strength. This can't be lumped together. This sentence was somewhat reasonable, and it temporarily calmed the debate of the domain kings. Lin Feng was picking up his chopsticks and starting to eat. When he saw Lin Jun, he was stunned and looked up. Lin Jun didn't say anything. The last domain king's words gave him some inspiration. What kind of world king was needed to refine a clone? This also depended on luck. Lin Jun had no clue, but the domain king's words about the wanted world kings gave Lin Jun some inspiration. Halfway through his meal, Lin Jun stopped and then said to Lin Feng, "Is your dimensional universe authority high?" "It's all right, but it's not as high as yours now." "Boss, you're a rank, 5 alchemist, and an elder of the guild. This status is very high and is almost comparable to Mu Wang Province's Mu Wang King." Lin Jun was stunned. He still wasn't used to his new status. It turned out that a rank 5 alchemist status was so high. That's good. I can check many things myself. Lin Jun put down his chopsticks and began to check in the dimensional universe. What he was looking for was a bounty on his head. Rather than searching for powerful world kings all over the world, it was better to use this method. World kings that could be wanted were undoubtedly very powerful. Wanted gold stripe race world king, Bai Fengqi, bounty of 10 billion. Wanted white tiger race world king, Huang Ba, bounty of 5 billion. Wanted demon race world king, Le Suk, bounty of 4 billion. One by one, the posters introduced the situation of these world kings. These people had done some earth-shattering things. For example, Gold Stripe Group 1's Bai Fengqi once broke into a world king gathering and killed 25 world kings. Demon Race World King, Le Suk, disguised himself as an auctioneer at the World Auction House and swept away hundreds of billions worth of auction items. In the end, he left behind a pile of fake items, causing the World Auction House to lose face. In short, these people killed and robbed. They could be considered to have committed all kinds of crimes. Immortality realm martial artists rarely interfered with World King level battles. These World Kings could be considered to be very powerful. Wanting to catch them really wasn't an easy matter. Every time Lin Jun saw a World King, he would immediately check their information to see if they met his requirements. Because these World Kings basically ran amok in Xinla province, they were the focus of attention. However, the more he checked, the more disappointed Lin Jun became. Although these World Kings could be considered as powerhouses, they were still a bit lacking when compared to his requirements for a clone. Refining a clone wasn't easy. He didn't want to have any regrets and think about replacing them when the time came. On the other side, Lin Feng was fiercely eating. Seeing Lin Jun motionlessly looking for something, he finally became curious. "Boss, what are you looking for?" Lin Jun temporarily stopped his search and said to Lin Feng, "I want to see who could be called the strongest world king in the vicinity of Xinla province." "That's simple, I know. Hua Tai Sui." Lin Feng immediately patted his chest. "Who is Hua Tai Sui? Why haven't I checked?" "Boss, you won't be able to find this person in the dimensional universe because this is a world king who is wanted by an immortality realm martial artist. This matter is only spread among the immortality realm martial artists and hasn't been made public. I only know about it because I heard it from my father." "A world king who is wanted by an immortality realm martial artist? Is this person still alive?" "Of course. Otherwise, why would he be called the strongest world king?" "Speaking of this person, there are some stories about him." Lin Feng coughed and temporarily stopped eating. He said to Lin Jun, "Although our southern Liang Empire is a big country, it isn't considered a first-class country. We are dependent on the Great Liang Empire. Because we are located in the south of the Great Liang Empire, we are called Southern Liang. The emperor of the Great Liang Empire is an immortality realm martial artist. The crown prince is also an immortality realm martial artist. The crown prince's wife is also an immortality realm martial artist. Speaking of the crown prince's wife, she has a strong background. Her family and sect are all top-notch. She is more beautiful than a flower. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been confirmed as the crown prince's wife early on. However, before the crown prince's wife was married, an absurd matter happened. Lin Feng suddenly laughed. A bold world king sneaked into the palace and secretly filmed the crown prince's wife bathing and broadcast it in the dimensional universe. Although we didn't see any important points, this matter caused a sensation and made the Great Liang Empire's royal family furious. Many immortality realm martial artists joined forces to encircle and suppress the World King. In the end, the World King still escaped. Don't you think it's awesome? Many immortality realm martial artists didn't catch the World King. Chapter 637. Lin Jun was entranced as he listened. "That's amazing, but it's a miracle that he managed to survive." "Who says it isn't?" Because of this matter, the crown princess is still a reserve crown princess. Because she hasn't married into the crown prince's family yet, the crown prince has been brooding over this matter ever since. Thus, the two of them haven't married yet. "Do you have information on this person?" "Yes, I will send it to you." Soon, Lin Jun received Lin Feng's information. Hua Tai Sui, also known as Hua World King. Surname Hua, name Hua, peak World King, purple gold divine race. Estimated star force 6. 5 million. Lin Jun glanced at Lin Feng's star force, secretly startled. A peak world king actually had such a high star force. No wonder he was able to escape from the encirclement of immortal powerhouses. The purple gold divine race was one of the top races of the universe. This race had a high chance of producing an immortal powerhouse. If there weren't any accidents, then this Hua Hua Tai Sui would become an immortal martial artist sooner or later. It was said that the purple gold divine race had the toughest bodies and super defensive power. Ordinary weapons were unable to harm them. Moreover, this person's bounty was extremely high. It was actually 100 billion. However, this was only circulated within the immortal martial artists. This was because the person who issued the bounty knew that an ordinary world king was unable to deal with Tai Sui Hua Hua. Even if they issued a bounty, it was useless. Then how do you know he's still in Xinla County? My father found out by chance. But my father doesn't like the current emperor, so even though he knew about Tai Sui Hua Hua, he didn't reveal it. Perhaps he doesn't care about the 100 billion and told me not to speak of it. Can you tell me? Lin Jun didn't have much hope. Of course not. Lin Feng, who had no moral integrity, immediately threw his father's order to the back of his mind and gave Lin Jun an address. Boss, don't make a fuss and don't be too anxious. Although the bounty is high, you still need to be alive to take it. Lin Jun didn't discuss this issue in depth. After eating for a while, he left the restaurant. After that, he left Lin Feng alone in the Alchemist Guild to look after his courtyard and shop while he left. Hua Hua Tai Sui lived in a manor on the outskirts of Xianlu County. Every day, he lived in seclusion. Perhaps it was because he knew that the trouble he had caused back then was too great, so he didn't dare to show his face normally. The manor only hired a group of Star Realm servants, and they lived like ordinary people. After Lin Jin came here, he first found an opportunity to tie up the chef who cooked for Hua Hua Tai Sui. The chef quickly explained the master's situation. He didn't know much about his master. He only knew that his master was injured and had been recuperating all these years. His daily task was to make medicinal cuisine for his master to recuperate and then deliver it to the door. His master had a black cloth guard. Every day, his special task was to test whether the food was poisonous or not, absolutely guaranteeing the master's safety. In fact, he had never really seen his master's appearance. Lin Jun got the information he wanted and directly used the soul lock technique to completely turn the chef into his confidant. Then, he followed the chef and quietly sneaked into the manor. Lin Jun now used the soul lock technique. As long as he didn't scan a person's spiritual sea, he wouldn't be able to find any clues. He just stayed in the manor peacefully. After about a month, Lin Jun roughly figured out the situation here. All kinds of signs showed that Hua Hua Tai Sui really lived here. It was normal for him to be injured. He was lucky to be able to escape from many longevity realm warriors. Even if he was injured, Lin Jun couldn't be his opponent. However, Lin Jun naturally had his means. As a 5th grade alchemist and a 5th grade dark alchemist, Lin Jun had a lot of methods that were difficult to detect. He took the ice lotus from the top of the snow mountain and personally boiled the medicine for Hua Hua Tai Sui. This method was to deceive the guard, because Lin Jun could see that the guard also knew a little about medicine. He just happened to instruct the chef to prepare some good medicinal herbs for his master to recuperate, and this frost lotus was naturally included in the recipe. After a meal, the medicinal diet was praised by Hua Hua Tai Sui. He said that in the future, he should put this medicine in every meal. Thus, one by one, the ice lotus flowers and lotus seeds were placed into the food and sent to Hua Hua Tai Sui. This kind of cold attribute medicine had the effect of detoxification and healing, but there was one point. The cold would quietly accumulate in the body. If one didn't take the fire attribute medicine, it would slowly accumulate. However, Lin Jun also put an appropriate amount of fire snake grass in the meal, which could temporarily suppress the cold without being discovered by the user. Lin Jun was waiting for an opportunity. When the cold of the ice lotus seeds accumulated to a certain extent, it would be the time for him to make a move. A month passed. Dark clouds covered the sky, and snow swirled in the air. Winter had arrived in Xianlu County. The weather was cold every day. His master was not feeling well and did not want to eat the ice lotus today. He asked the kitchen to make something hot. Lin Jun personally boiled the medicinal diet and put the fire lotus seeds in it. However, it was only the outer shell. The inner shell was compressed by the ice lotus. The meal was sent over. Lin Jun waited quietly. He was waiting for the outer shell of the lotus to be melted by the gastric juices. Once the cold inside was completely stimulated, they would work together to freeze Hua Hua Tai Sui's Dantian, freeze his star power. Lin Jun did not care about a world king who had lost his star power. As for his follower, he was only a domain king. Lin Jun did not care about him at all. After about half an hour, what's going on? A loud roar suddenly came from the quiet room. This was an uncontrollable roar. Moreover, the voice was trembling. It was definitely not fake. Lin Jun was waiting for this moment. He kicked the door open and rushed into the room. The Domain King's Dantian was also frozen because he was the first to taste the medicinal diet every time. Usually, he would even eat with Hua Hua Tai Sui. Of course, he was not spared. A bright spear flashed past. The Domain King fell to the ground and died. Lin Jun finally saw Hua Hua Tai Sui, a guy whose entire body was frozen. His star power had been completely sealed by Lin Jun's dark alchemy skills. He could not use it for the time being. Even so, Hua Hua Tai Sui did not care about Lin Jun. A cold voice came from his mouth. Another guy who doesn't know what's good for him. Your methods are indeed sinister. Even I fell for it. However, it's useless. You're just a level 8 nebula. You're asking for death by being so presumptuous in front of me. A stream of light flashed before his eyes. A small person with silver light flashing around his body flew out from between Hua Hua Tai Sui's eyebrows and went straight for Lin Jun's spiritual sea. The divine infant had left its body. This divine infant was about to advance to the gold level. Strictly speaking, it was much more powerful than Lin Jun's divine infant. However, Lin Jun was not afraid at all. Hua Hua Tai Sui could not move, and his divine infant did not have the ability to kill him instantly. In fact, it was not certain who would kill who. With a thought, the divine infant that had been sleeping in Lin Jun's body opened its eyes. It screamed and rushed out of his spiritual sea. The two divine infants clashed. The opponent's divine infant was stronger and sent Lin Jun's divine infant flying far away. However, Lin Jun's divine infant shot a spear and pierced the silver figure's chest. Wisps of mind power began to leak out, and a large amount of energy began to leak out. Lin Jun resisted the dizziness and shot in front of Hua Hua Tai Sui. He raised his palm like a knife and slashed at his neck. The powerful rebounding force almost broke the bones in Lin Jun's hand. His strength was unable to break through this purple-gold godly tribe member's defenses. Brat, let's talk this out. I'll give you all my assets, and you let me go. I guarantee that I'll let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, when I recover, you won't be able to take advantage of me. When he saw that his divine infant was heavily injured and that he could not move, Hua Hua Tai Sui finally cowered. However, at this point, Lin Jun would not back down. He raised his yin-yang spear and stabbed Hua Hua Tai Sui again. A shallow wound appeared on his body, but it was not fatal. Instead, it caused the cold chi on his body to leak out faster. What a powerful purple-gold godly tribe member's body. If he was in perfect condition, I wouldn't even have the right to touch a single hair on his body. Lin Jun made up his mind. He pried open his mouth with his spear and tossed a black medicinal pill inside. The black medicinal pill was something Lin Jun had refined from Su Xingyao's memories. It was specially made for possession. While Hua Hua Tai Sui's divine infant was injured, Lin Jun was going to forcefully possess him. The possession medicinal pill was forced down his throat. Hua Hua Tai Sui let out an indignant whimper. However, he could not fight back at all. His silver-ranked divine infant should not have been defeated so easily. However, he had been too careless and too hasty. After being injured by Lin Jun's divine infant with a single spear strike, his mental power collapsed. He did not expect that this nebula-stage martial artist would have a divine infant. Moreover, the divine infant would even have a weapon. Now, he was no longer in control. His mind's consciousness was crushed by Lin Jun. He could not move his body. Lin Jun began to search his soul forcefully. Coupled with the possession medicinal pill and Lin Jun's powerful mental power and soul, Hua Hua Tai Sui, a super realm king who had escaped from many immortal stage martial artists, had died under Lin Jun's plot. His soul and his memories had been completely and utterly stripped away by Lin Jun. All that was left was the corpse of a purple gold god that could be considered a human-shaped weapon and a silver-ranked divine infant that was about to collapse. The possession medicinal pill came into effect at this time. Lin Jun took over his body and forcefully recovered his consciousness. He directly recalled the severely injured and unconscious divine infant into his mind's consciousness. This would be his future clone. This divine infant would be of great use to him. Lin Jun could not give it up. At this point, Hua Hua Tai Sui's body and soul had been completely destroyed. All that was left was an empty shell. Lin Jun did not have it easy this time. Hua Hua Tai Sui's memories were much richer than Su Xingyao's. In an instant, memories surged like a tidal wave. Chapter 638. Tai Sui Hua Hua's memory was too rich. When the memory came, Lin Jun digested it for more than 10 days. Discarding some useless memories, Lin Jun thought he just got a doppelganger, but he didn't expect there to be a surprise. It could be said that Hua Hua Tai Sui's death was extremely unjust. He didn't even have time to display his lost skills before he died under Lin Jun's medicinal pills. If they really fought, even 10 Lin Juns wouldn't be enough to crush him. The sword Qi of Flicking Finger was enough to penetrate gold and stone. Even the best celestial weapon couldn't withstand his attack. When he sneaked into the palace to peep at the crown princess taking a bath, he relied on the sword Qi of Flicking Finger to deal with those immortal warriors who chased after him. The Phantom Sword was an upper-grade treasure. The deadly chain sword technique was his trump card against the immortal warriors. Moreover, the body of the Purple Gold God clan was ridiculously tough. With Lin Jun's current strength, he could only pierce the skin with a spear to see how tough it was. In addition, there was a memory that was particularly fresh in Tai Sui Hua Hua's mind. It was the matter of peeping at the crown princess of Southern Liang taking a bath. The crown princess was a woman who had reached the immortality realm and was also a super beauty. Tai Sui Hua Hua played with countless women in his life, but the one he missed the most was the crown princess. He repeatedly failed to pursue her. Later, he simply sneaked into the palace. He planned to secretly take photos of the crown princess, but he didn't expect to secretly take photos of the crown princess taking a bath. In fact, he didn't take any important photos. The crown princess was discovered before she finished taking off her clothes. After that, Tai Sui Hua Hua fell into deep water and was chased for many years. The person who really wanted to kill him was also the crown princess. He was lucky to escape from the battle in the palace, but he was also seriously injured. He was injured by the crown princess's icy needles and couldn't recover for a long time. Therefore, Lin Jun had the opportunity to succeed. The crown princess probably hated Tai Sui Hua Hua to death. She shot 3 icy needles. The icy needles were cold and poisonous when they entered the body. They suppressed more than half of Tai Sui Hua Hua's star power. According to its power, the third hailstone needle was called bloodthirsty. It suppressed Hua Hua Tai Sui by 1 million points of astral power. This divine needle suppressed the bloodline and almost merged with the blood. It had to absorb enough blood before it lost its power. The second hailstone divine needle was called bone engraving. It could suppress 5 million astral powers and destroy bones. As for the final divine needle, it was called engraved mind. It suppressed no less than 2 million star energy. This one was the most dangerous. If it was allowed to continue developing, sooner or later, it would pierce through Hua Hua Tai Sui's heart. At that time, Hua Hua Tai Sui was injured by a warrior of the longevity realm because of its strong body, but it was not fatal. When it was about to rush out of the palace, the crown princess, who was almost embarrassed to death, attacked it with hatred. Originally, Hua Hua Tai Sui's star power was as high as 5 million. After being suppressed by the crown princess's 3 divine needles, he only had 2 million star power. This was also one of the reasons why he didn't dare to go out. Engraved mind and bloodthirsty. These 3 divine needles were all hit. Not only did they seal the star power, but they also contained poison that was difficult to dissolve. Tai Sui Hua Hua Tai Sui had been building a manor here for many years. Not only was he troubled by the poison, but he also couldn't pull out a single divine needle. This treasure of a warrior of the longevity realm was really not easy to get. This thing was spiritual. Once you wanted to touch it, it would pierce into your body. For many years, Tai Sui Hua Hua Tai Sui had suffered, but he didn't dare to go out to treat it. He had been wasting his time in this manner. Lin Jun looked through this memory and thought to himself, I've refined Hua Hua Tai Sui's body into a doppelganger, so I must not encounter this crown prince consort. Otherwise, I'll definitely die a horrible death. In the past 10 days, Lin Jun sorted out Hua Hua Tai Sui's memories and had a better understanding of the local customs of the primordial realm. After absorbing 2 people's memories consecutively, Lin Jun was now considered an expert in the primordial realm. Since Lin Jun had inherited Hua Hua Tai Sui's body, he had learned all of Tai Sui Hua Hua Tai Sui's techniques. The Phantom Light Sword was a super treasure. Lin Jun had never held such a good item before. The Flick Sword Aura was a great killing weapon. After Lin Jun's main body learned it, he improved it. With the addition of the metal and lightning elements, the Flick Sword Aura's speed reached sublight speed and its power multiplied. Most importantly, Lin Jun had repaired Tai Sui Hua Hua Tai Sui's divine infant. This guy's spirit power had entered the beginner stage of gold after surviving this catastrophe. Clothes, an impenetrable body, a beginner stage gold divine infant, sword and finger techniques, and a clone with 2 million star power. These were Lin Jun's gains from this trip. The only pity was that Tai Sui Hua Hua Tai Sui had been on the run for many years and didn't have much money on hand. Lin Jun didn't gain much in this regard. However, these were enough. Lin Jun was confident that money wouldn't be a problem after his matter was settled. His main body stood beside the clone and knocked lightly, making a clanging sound. Tisk TSK. The Purple Gold God Tribe is indeed one of the top tribes in the universe. This talent is too strong. This guy almost has no weakness. If there is a weakness, it would be the Hailstone Divine Needles in his body. Now that Tai Sui Hua Hua's body was Lin Jun's clone, the poison in the Divine Needles had been removed by Lin Jun. Lin Jun didn't want to leave these 3 deadly things in his body, but the Hailstone Divine Needles were too difficult to deal with. He couldn't rely on his own strength to pull them out. Each one of them seemed to have a life of its own. As long as he didn't touch them, they wouldn't hurt you. They could even fight without a problem. However, it was impossible to take them out. The 3 divine needles had 3 attributes. If you wanted to pull them out, you could only do it with a special item. For example, the bloodthirsty divine needles needed the corresponding spiritual blood to refine elixirs. Only when the divine needles were full would they lose their power. It seems that I can't pull out the divine needles for the time being. However, if it wasn't for this, I'm afraid I wouldn't have succeeded so easily. As for the divine needles, they won't affect anything anyway. I'll leave them here first. While I find a way to remove them, I'll take them out one by one. Lin Jun's gaze once again turned to Hua Hua Tai Sui's inner world. His inner world was very big. It was a continent with an area of about tens of millions of square kilometers. It didn't mean that the World King's inner world was necessarily huge. In fact, this inner world was about the same size as Lin Jun's dark star space. Lin Jun clenched his fist hard. Great, I finally have another clone. Although this clone is wanted by the royal family and is worth hundreds of billions, a powerful clone is the most important thing for me. It's just that I don't like this face. I'll transform it into my own appearance. Lin Jun was proficient in the transformation technique. He immediately changed his appearance to look exactly like Lin Jun's original body. I'm also a peak world king, and an incomparably powerful one at that. Ordinary peak world king geniuses would be amazing if they had 4 to 5 million stars, but this fellow actually has 6. 5 million stars. He's definitely one of the top world kings. If it weren't for the crown princess's 3 divine needles, I wouldn't have to fear anyone below the longevity realm. However, Lin Jun was satisfied. With 2 million stars and a powerful body, it was enough to deal with everything now. Moreover, Hua Tai Sui had another method, which was the breath-concealing technique. It could change one's realm on the surface, making it impossible for others to see through. He had relied on this move to disguise himself as an early Star Domain realm guard and sneak into the royal palace. Lin Jun also changed the surface realm of his clone to a star system level 9. This way, his clone could walk outside in his place without anyone seeing through him. Finally, Lin Jun found Hua Tai Sui's mount in his inner world. It was a 6-winged poison dragon whose strength had reached the peak of the World King realm. This poison dragon was filled with evil. Its speed was equal to the limit of sublight speed, surpassing 100,000 kilometers per second. After it was subdued by Hua Tai Sui, one person and one dragon had committed nearly all sorts of evil deeds. However, Lin Jun didn't deal with this poison dragon. After all, it was a formidable combat strength. Although it couldn't compare to a true peak World King, an ordinary World King wouldn't be able to do anything to it. Lin Jun placed the poison dragon in the dark star space so that it could familiarize itself with the rock. The poison dragon entered the space and found a place to settle down in the stellar fruit tree. It didn't bother with the rock at all. It was still pondering whether or not its master had changed. After dismissing the servants in the manor, Lin Jun directly returned to the immortal Lu County. After returning, Lin Jun's main body plunged into the alchemy room once more. He began to crazily refine a massive amount of pills. He would refine as many Star Domain stage essence gathering powders as he could. In another month, Lin Jun's main body would be able to make a breakthrough and reach the 9th level of the Star Domain stage. Afterwards, he would need Star Domain stage medicines. The Avatar left the alchemy room but didn't see Lin Feng. He probably went to the shop. After leaving his courtyard, Lin Jun walked into the guild building. As the front desk lady saw Lin Jun, she immediately nodded and bowed. "Elder Lin Jun, you've returned." In the eyes of others, Lin Jun's main body was no different from his avatar. They simply couldn't see any difference. "Suzanne, does the guild have the blood of the 4 spirits?" Lin Jun had already found a method to expel the bloodthirsty divine needle. That was to use the blood of the azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and black tortoise to refine a pill. After feeding the bloodthirsty divine needle, it would lose its strength and no longer damage the avatar's body. When this divine needle was taken out, Lin Jun's avatar star power would increase by 1 million. Suzanne checked. "Elder Lin Jun, the guild currently only has the blood of the black tortoise. Do you need it? Give me the blood. The cost can be directly recorded. As for the other 3 types, you can help me purchase them. After the transaction, I will give you a commission." Thank you very much, Elder Lin Jun." Suzanne immediately posted a purchase post on the guild website. If someone had such blood in their hands, they would come to her for a transaction. After putting away the black tortoise blood, Lin Jun walked out of the guild gate. In front of him was a shop area. His Ice Fire Divine pill shop was also in this location. It was a very good location. Along the way, people looked at the elder with 5 gold stars on his chest with reverence. In this place, alchemists were very respected. After a few steps, he suddenly heard teasing beside him. Chapter 639. Lin Jun turned around and saw a few domain monarchs laughing unscrupulously at him in the crowd. Lin Jun knew these people. They were the domain monarchs of the surrounding shops. They usually blocked the entrance of his shop, but he didn't expect to bump into them as soon as he stepped out. Lin Jun stopped in his tracks. "What do you want?" The domain monarchs didn't take Lin Jun seriously. Although a guild president always had 2 World King bodyguards, Lin Jun obviously didn't have any bodyguards with him. Even if he did, he had only seen a 2nd-level World King before, so he didn't need to pay much attention to him. Seeing that Lin Jun was trying to sound tough, but was actually cowardly, the few of them started to think about how cool it would be if they were to teach a lesson to an elder of the Alchemist Guild. So what if you're a 5th-grade alchemist? You're still not strong enough. Each of these domain monarchs had a star power of about 1 million, and the strongest one even had a star power of 2 million. They were definitely the strongest among the domain monarchs. They didn't take Lin Jun seriously at all, and immediately surrounded him. When the surrounding people saw that a fight was about to break out, they all moved aside. However, they didn't go too far and just watched the show. The leader of the domain, Monarchs, laughed. "It's nothing. We bought the Ice Fire Divine pill from your shop. Not only did it have no effect, but it also caused us to vomit and have diarrhea for a few days. Should we settle this score?" Lin Jun said, "How do you want to settle it?" "Very simple. Compensate us." "Yes, compensate us. If you don't have money, sell your shop. Anyway, your shop hasn't sold a single pill for many years." Lin Jun shook his head. "I won't sell my shop. Give up. As for compensation, we can also calculate whether you're compensating me or I'm compensating you." "Io, you really think you're the ice fire alchemist that was all the rage? Your pills have long been sold everywhere. Why are you still pretending in front of us? You don't know what's good for you." One of the domain monarchs walked behind Lin Jun and suddenly kicked him at an extremely fast speed. He planned to kick Lin Jun until he fell flat on his face. This way, Lin Jun's face would be swept to the ground. Being beaten up by an elder in front of the Alchemist Guild, this stain would follow him forever. Although he would also be punished, he believed that Gu Yunting would have a way to deal with it. After all, he was working for him. In his opinion, Lin Jun was merely a Nebula Level 9 being who could be easily dealt with. The surrounding people exclaimed in surprise. There really was a fight. Lin Jun's expression didn't change. His body moved slightly to the side, dodging the kick by a hair's breadth. "Beating up an elder in front of the Alchemist Guild. Do you know what crime it is? I can execute you." "Ha ha. That depends on whether you have the ability to do so." "Lin Jun, have you become stupid from alchemy? Have you forgotten that the most important thing among martial artists is always ability?" Although Lin Jun dodged the attack, the domain monarchs didn't care. This didn't prove anything. They were also worried that someone else would come and cause trouble, so they simply swarmed forward, wanting to defeat Lin Jun in a short time. Poof, poof, poof. For streaks of sword aura broke through the air. 4 of the 5 people had a bloody hole between their eyebrows, and they died on the spot. Sword aura flicked out without mercy. Lin Jun's star power was as high as 2 million. Why would he care about these domain monarchs? After casually killing 4 people, only the one with over 1 million star power was left. The domain monarch's hands and feet instantly turned cold. He looked at Lin Jun as if he was looking at a monster. Was this still the Nebula level? He could kill a domain monarch as easily as killing an ant. He turned around and wanted to escape, but Lin Jun wouldn't give him the chance. His eyes focused, and the early-stage gold nascent soul in his spiritual consciousness immediately released a mental attack. This domain monarch hadn't even successfully nurtured his nascent soul. His mental attack was worlds apart from Lin Jun's. The mental attack first shattered his mental defense Dharma artifact. Then his mind went blank. He stumbled 2 steps and fell to the ground. Lin Jun didn't use all his strength in this attack. He only knocked his opponent down and walked over slowly. He stepped on the domain monarch's neck. "I said just now that you attacked an elder in front of the Alchemist Guild. This is a serious crime, and I can sentence you to death any time. Unfortunately, you didn't listen to my kind words, so don't blame me for being impolite. We are Mr. Gu's men. You can't kill me." "Ha ha ha. Mr. Gu's men? The Mr. Gu who purposely went against me and didn't let me gain a foothold in the elixir market? That's a big shot. Since you said so, I'll give him face and let you pass a message to him. We will definitely meet again." The domain monarch was overjoyed. He thought that Gu Yunting's name had worked, and hope shone in his eyes. "I can spare your life, but I can't forgive your crimes. You still have to accept your punishment." Lin Jun raised his finger. An array of sword chi shot through the domain monarch's dantian. Star power gushed out like a fountain and sparkled in the air. It was a beautiful sight. However, the surrounding cultivators felt a chill down their spines. A domain monarch who had cultivated for 1,000 years was crippled just like that. His star power was drained just like that. Such a cultivator would be better off dead. The process of draining his star power was not painful, but this cultivator howled in pain. To him, this process was an irreparable pain. The feeling of his energy draining rapidly was enough to drive him crazy. A minute later, the million-star power in his dantian was drained, and he completely lost the right to be a cultivator. He crawled up like a zombie and stumbled away. There was still a glimmer of hope in his heart. He hoped that Gu Yunting could save him and give him another chance to practice martial arts. However, Lin Jun knew that a mercenary like Gu Yunting would never save a worthless person. Death was his only ending. Lin Jun kept him alive so that he could pass a message to Gu Yunting. After killing these domain monarchs, Thomas rushed out with his men from the guild. Lin Jun, are you all right? Thomas asked Lin Jun anxiously. Thank you for your concern, teacher. I'm completely fine. However, these people attacked me in front of the guild entrance. I already warned them, but they didn't know how to restrain themselves, so I killed them. Everyone here saw it, and I made a record. Thomas waved his hand. A bunch of scoundrels. Just kill them. There's no need to explain anything. Come, find a place and burn these fellows. Don't leave anything behind. The man in black behind him walked over. With a raise of his hand, the corpses of the domain monarchs disappeared. The immortal-level bodyguard intimidated everyone present so much that they did not even dare to breathe loudly. They also fully witnessed the power of an alchemist. Lin Jun, why didn't you tell me you were coming back? Let's go and have a drink with me. Teacher, I still have to check on the shop and prepare for the reopening. After I'm done with this, let's get drunk. Haha, all right. You said it. I'll wait for you then. Thomas brought his men back while Lin Jun walked out of the crowd and arrived in front of his shop. Snoring sounds could be heard from outside the shop. Lin Feng really had nothing to do, so he decided to just sleep here. Lin Jun walked in. The things inside were in a mess. It seemed like Lin Jun was refining pills here. Your father is here to bring you home, Lin Jun shouted. Lin Feng jumped up like a rabbit and wanted to escape through the window. Lin Jun raised his hand, and a gravitational force pulled Lin Feng to his side. Ah, boss, you're back. Where's my father? Your father isn't here. Get up and clean up. Our shop is about to reopen. Lin Feng came to his senses. Lin Jun was lying to him. He got up and followed Lin Jun to clean up the house. Halfway through, Lin Feng suddenly slapped his forehead. Ah, that's not right, boss. I wanted to escape just now, but I was pulled back by your gravitational force. I have more than one. 7 million star power. How can I be pulled back by you? Because I'm the boss. It's normal for the boss to catch his underlings. Get to work. Lin Feng muttered a few words and didn't ask any more questions. However, in his heart, he admired Lin Jun even more. His cheap boss wasn't as simple as he looked. That move just now at least proved one thing, and that was that Lin Jun's star power was above his. However, Lin Feng was open-minded, or rather heartless. Lin Jun was his boss. Of course, the stronger he was, the better. As for why he was so strong, Lin Feng didn't want to think about it, and he didn't want to think about it. The two of them quickly tidied up the house. Lin Jun found someone to make some decorations. Red silk, flower baskets, and firecrackers, which weren't popular in the Yuan realm, were placed out to prove that the medicine shop had reopened. A large number of medicinal pills accumulated over the years were placed on the shelves, and then the firecrackers were set off. This proved that the Ice Fire Divine pills were back. This movement attracted the attention of many people. After seeing the signboard of the Ice Fire Divine pills, it caused a lot of discussion. Many people knew about the decline of the Ice Fire Divine pills in the past. Now that the medicine shop had reopened, some people who had used the Ice Fire Divine pills and knew the benefits immediately swarmed in. They were afraid that they wouldn't be able to buy good medicinal pills if they were late. On the shelves were Lin Jun's accumulation over the years. The supply was sufficient. The business on this day could be described as exploding. The goods accumulated over the past 4 years were sold on the first day. In just one day, the turnover of the Ice Fire Divine pills reached 3.5 billion. These were all finished medicinal pills. 3.5 billion meant a profit of almost 3 billion. Lin Jun could be considered to have made a killing. As the domain monarchs of the surrounding shops were all killed by Lin Jun, no one came to cause trouble for the entire day. This allowed Lin Jun to make a solid profit. When it was time to close for the night, Lin Feng was so happy that he couldn't close his mouth. Just now, Lin Jun gave him a red packet worth 100 million. This made him, who had never seen so much money before, so excited that he didn't know where to put his hands. Boss, it would be great if such days could continue. You will definitely become a super rich person in no time. Lin Jun smiled. It won't be that simple. It won't be as popular as today either. Furthermore, Gu Yunting knows that I've reopened the business and killed those domain monarchs. He will definitely deal with me. Then what should we do? Chapter 640. After the explosive sales on the first day, the business slowed down slightly on the second day. However, the sales volume was still astonishing, and the daily sales volume exceeded 500 million. This meant that Lin Jun had a daily income of 400 million. However, Lin Jun knew that such days would not last for long. He could not possibly supply Shinla County, a place that was even larger than a mid-level civilization universe nation, by refining pills by himself. Once he sold out all the stocks he had over the past few years, Lin Jun would still have to implement a limited sales volume. He could only sell a fixed amount every day. However, he did not expect that Gu Yunting did not come looking for trouble, and he did not know what he was doing. Since Gu Yunting was not coming, Lin Jun was happy to earn money first. He still had a lot of things to do. On the soaring sky tower, Gu Yunting welcomed a guest. Hee, welcome, welcome. Welcome, Elder Qin. I have been waiting for you for a long time. A man with messy hair and a rough appearance walked in. If Lin Jun was here, he would definitely recognize who the rough man was. This person was Elder Qin from the Fire Kirin, who had borrowed the wormhole from the Heavenly Gate to appear. Mr. Gu, we have not seen each other for many years. This time, I was just passing by, but you specially invited me over. If you have something to say, just say it. Elder Qin sat down and took a sip of tea. Hee, let's not talk about this first. Elder Qin is an elder of the Kirin clan and is busy with work. Since you have come to Shinla County, you should at least give me a chance to play host. Mr. Gu, I don't like to beat around the bush. If you have something to say, just say it. If not, I have other matters to attend to, so I won't accompany you. All right, since Elder Qin has matters to attend to, I won't beat around the bush. I want to ask, if the people of your Kirin clan are wandering outside, is it possible for them to return to the clan? Elder Qin pondered for a moment. Are you talking about people from the primordial realm or the new territories? People from the new territories. It is possible, but you also know that when warriors from the new territories come to the primordial realm, their lives are difficult. Survival is a problem. They are all eager to return to the clan as soon as possible, hoping that the clan can provide for them. Therefore, even if they return, we have to examine them carefully to see if they have any value. Basically, we won't take the initiative to bring them back. I have someone from the new territories. I just found out that he is from the Kirin clan. Can you see if you can do me a favor and bring him back to the Kirin clan? If you think it's difficult, I can give the Kirin clan. That's right. His name is Lin Jun. Does Elder Qin know this person? Elder Qin thought for a while with an uncertain expression. Then he took a screenshot from the dimensional universe. Is it this person? That's right. Elder Qin really does know him. That's even better. You can bring him back. Elder Qin waved his hand. That's impossible. Mr. Gu, I don't have any objections to you mentioning anyone else, but this Lin Jun must not return to the Kirin clan. I won't say the specific reason. Goodbye. Seeing that Elder Qin was about to leave, Gu Yunting hurriedly said, Hey, Elder Qin, you're not being nice. Why are you leaving without saying anything? I'm sincerely begging you. Elder Qin stopped and turned to Gu Yunting. Then I'll be frank. Lin Jun is just a small fry. Why are you in such a hurry to send him away? Why don't I give you a sum of money and you could just get rid of him? Gu Yunting was stunned for a moment. Then he smiled bitterly. I won't hide it from you anymore. Lin Jun is no longer a small fry. This guy is now an elder of the Alchemist Guild. He's a 5th-grade alchemist. With the guild's protection, it's really hard for me to do anything to him. That's why I want to ask Elder Qin to take him away. What? He's a 5th-grade alchemist? Elder Qin felt that the world had been turned upside down. Lin Jun was originally an inconspicuous little brat. How did he become a fifth-grade alchemist? Could it be that the fifth-grade alchemists in the primordial realm were so common? One had to know that even the exclusive alchemist of the Kirin clan was only a sixth-grade alchemist. Moreover, his position in the Kirin clan was second only to the patriarch. Everyone had to give him face. However, this also strengthened Elder Qin's determination to not let Lin Jun return to the Kirin clan. If Lin Jun returned, his mistake from over 700 years ago would be infinitely magnified. Ku Xiangnan's life in the clan had just gotten a little better, but he feared that there would be great waves again. Elder Qin stopped and said to Gu Yunting, "If you can't do anything, you can find someone who can." Gu Yunting said, "This person isn't easy to find. A few days ago, Lin Jun and several of my subordinates fought. They easily killed several domain kings. I can't see through this person. Moreover, he has a second-level world king by his side. Moreover, he's active in the Alchemist Guild. No matter who goes, if they aren't careful, not only will they not be able to kill Lin Jun, they might even lose their lives there. Then you can hire him. Hiring him isn't easy. If Lin Jun didn't have any status, that would be easy. But to kill a fifth-grade alchemist, those mercenaries and assassins aren't fools. They will definitely offer a sky-high price." Elder Qin thought for a moment. "How about I recommend someone to you? If this person goes, he can definitely kill Lin Jun without spending a single cent." "Oh, who is it?" "This person is called Ku Xianglong. Because of Lin Jun, he was suppressed by the Heavenly Gate's guardian, Moonchaser, under the Heavenly Gate. He just came out a few days ago and currently has no foothold in the primordial realm. This person hates Lin Jun to the bone. If you give him a message, he will definitely come." Gu Yunting hesitated. Although he hated Lin Jun, he really didn't dare to offend the Heavenly Gate's guardian, Moonchaser. Moonchaser was a very powerful existence among the longevity realm martial artists. Otherwise, how could he guard the passage between the two worlds by himself? Not to mention him, even the people behind him didn't dare to provoke Moonchaser. "Mr. Gu, you can find someone to pass the message. Moreover, do you think Great God Moonchaser will always pay attention to Lin Jun? People at his level pursue different things, and he definitely won't pursue such a small matter to the end." After saying that, Elder Qin gave Gu Yunting a dimensional universe number. It was up to Gu Yunting whether he wanted to find it or not. After Elder Qin left, Gu Yunting hesitated for a while before finally adding a number. "Lin Jun, don't think that you can do whatever you want in my territory just because you have the Alchemist Guild's protection. You won't be able to jump around for long. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Master, someone in the dimensional universe is calling for you. It's the Alchemist Guild's receptionist, Suzanne. Connect." Lin Jun temporarily put down his alchemy work and connected to Suzanne's communication. "Elder Lin, I've purchased a portion of Azure Dragon's blood. Are you coming over to collect it now?" "All right, I'll be right there." Lin Jun arrived at the guild and obtained the Azure Dragon's blood from Suzanne. Now that he already had the blood of Azure Dragon and Black Tortoise, he still lacked the blood of White Tiger and Vermilion Bird. Once he gathered the blood of the four spirits, he would be able to take out the bloodthirsty Divine Needle and unlock the 1,000,000 star power of his clone. Lin Jun had checked Gu Yunting's data. This person's star power was as high as 3 million. Even if his clone went over now, he might not be able to win. Therefore, this was the reason why he hadn't looked for Gu Yunting yet. After giving Suzanne a commission, Suzanne beamed with joy and said to Lin Jun, "Elder Lin, you've earned a lot recently. It's all right. Otherwise, why would I give you such a big red packet?" Lin Jun gave Suzanne a red packet of 1,000,000 star power. It was definitely not a small number. It was also because of this that Suzanne would work hard for Lin Jun. "Elder Lin, I also got some news about the White Tiger's blood. Do you want to hear it?" Lin Jun smiled and gave Suzanne another 500,000 star power. "I knew you were capable. Tell me, where's the White Tiger's blood?" "It's at the World Auction. 3 days later, there will be an auction at the World Auction. The White Tiger's blood will be there. Elder Lin, you can go and take a look. I can also help you get an invitation to the auction." "Then get me an invitation. Also, Settle the matter about the vermilion bird's blood as soon as possible. I can directly double the purchase price. If you get it, the red packet I give you will also be doubled. Hee hee. Then I'll thank Elder Lin first. However, this kind of thing depends on luck. You also know that there aren't many people selling the blood of the four spirits. If it's simple, then don't bother Miss Suzanne. Do your job well. I'm leaving. After accepting the Azure Dragon's blood and the invitation, Lin Jun returned to the alchemy room. These few days, the shop's sales had gradually stabilized. However, the stock in his hands couldn't last much longer. However, in this short period of time, Lin Jun had earned an unprecedented amount of money. Today's sales had just reached his hands, and the cash in his hands had reached a total of 10 billion. With this amount of money, it was enough to cross thousands of mountains and rivers and head to the territory of the Phoenix clan. There was still more than 20 years before the 1,000-year agreement between him and Feng Qingluan. Lin Jun didn't want to wait until the last moment. He planned to sell all the stock in his hands and then solve the matter with Gu Yunting. After that, he would leave Xinla County and southern Liang. This journey would be long and probably wouldn't be very peaceful. If he could get the blood of the four spirits to unseal a divine needle, Lin Jun would have a lot more confidence with a World King's avatar with a star power of 3 million. Main body and avatar, both of them have to level up. Tomorrow, my avatar will have 3 types of blood, and in a few days, my main body will reach level 9 nebula. Now that I have money, I should equip my main body and see if there are any suitable techniques for me to practice. Chapter 641. The World Auction House was one of the top auction houses in the entire Yuan realm. Together with the Endless Star Ocean Auction House and the Supreme Auction House, they were known as the 3 great auction houses. The auction house itself was a business. You could buy almost anything you wanted here. Only when rare and precious items appeared would they be auctioned. Lin Jun's authority allowed him to inquire about the items being auctioned in the auction house. This could also attract customers. The white tiger blood was only the bottom item here. Although the 4 spirit blood was good stuff, it wasn't too rare. There's actually an ancient pill recipe. A picture entered Lin Jun's eyes. It was a pill recipe. In the primordial realm, the elixir recipes were basically made public. It depended on who could refine it. However, some unique elixir recipes were exclusive. Alchemists would not divulge the elixir recipes in order to ensure their own benefits. Such elixir recipes were very valuable. This pill recipe was unearthed from some mysterious historical site. It actually appeared in an auction house. This item would definitely attract a large number of alchemists to buy it. As an alchemist, Lin Jun was also tempted. Although I don't know what it is exactly, since it's unique, it's worth buying. Lin Jun locked onto this pill recipe in his heart and continued browsing the items. Among the items that appeared were cultivation techniques, treasures, treasure maps, places to train in various forbidden areas, and even women who could cause the downfall of a city or a country. Lin Jun looked for a while and felt that there were many things he wanted. Finally, Lin Jun saw a special auction item. It was an ancient cultivation technique, the 5 styles of falling star. This was a set of killing skills and a set of mental cultivation techniques. It was divided into 5 styles, namely meteor fall, comet fall, satellite fall, planet fall, and star fall. Once the cultivation technique was mastered, every strike would have the power of a falling star. For example, planet fall. Once mastered, a casual strike will be able to strike down a real star. This kind of killing skill is what I really need. If I master Starfall, I'm afraid that even a mortal martial artist can fight against it. Even a mortal martial artist wouldn't dare to face a direct bombardment from a star. However, looking at the pre-sale price on the official website, the starting price of this item might be 3 billion. Lin Jun calculated the cash he had on hand. He now had 11 billion, but it wasn't enough to guarantee him a complete victory at the auction house. The white tiger's blood was probably worth hundreds of millions. The ancient elixir recipe and the 5 styles of falling star were worth billions or even tens of billions. If he fought for it with all his might, it would be considered good if he could get one. The ancient pill formula can help me earn more money, while the 5 styles of starfall can greatly increase my strength. Both choices have their own advantages and disadvantages. It's really difficult. Unless I have twice as much money, there might still be hope. Lin Jun searched back and forth within his dark star space and his interspatial ring. He wanted to find something that he could sell. The pills that he had stored for the past 4 years had almost been used up. Adding all the pills together, the value of the pills would not exceed 3 billion. And this was also due to the fact that he had been frantically refining pills in the past few days. However, other than medicinal pills, Lin Jun realized that he really didn't have anything else that he could take out. Other than the food that was still edible, everything else from the new territories had become trash. The technological products, spaceships, universe crystals, and so on are all piled up in the dark star space. This book is... Lin Jun, who didn't have much confidence, suddenly saw a book. Taiyuan Sword Technique. Lin Jun had obtained this sword technique from the new territories. He had never used it. Back then, he didn't know where this sword technique came from. Now he knew. This sword technique also came from the Primordial Realm's cultivation method secret manual. Moreover, it should be a very good secret manual. Looking at the Taiyuan sword technique, Lin Jun felt that it was a pity. Currently, his clone was using a sword. After inheriting the memories of the Hua Tai Sui, Lin Jun's understanding of the sword Dao had increased greatly. Now, he would no longer be restricted to weapons. Spears and swords were both his weapons. However, the Hua Tai Sui was also proficient in the Primordial Realm's sword technique secret manuals. This Taiyuan sword technique was somewhat useless in his hands. Forget it. I'll sell this sword technique. Hopefully, I can get a good price for it. After making up his mind, Lin Jun contacted the World Auction House directly. In the dimensional universe, the manager of an auction house met with Lin Jun in a room. After exchanging a few pleasantries, they went straight to the point. The people in the auction house were really knowledgeable. After looking at the Taiyuan sword technique for a while, they gave Lin Jun some information. This Taiyuan sword technique originated from an immortal level powerhouse. It was also an exclusive secret manual. Secret manuals of sword techniques were never lacking in demand. In particular, secret manuals of immortal level powerhouses were even more expensive. The auction house's staff conservatively estimated that this secret manual could be sold for 5 billion. The starting price was set at 2 billion. They asked Lin Jun if he agreed. From this, it seemed that the price of this secret manual was not much lower than the 5 styles of falling star. Lin Jun nodded in agreement. After putting the item up for sale at the auction house, Lin Jun continued to refine pills. There were still 3 days left. He had to do everything he could to accumulate wealth. He didn't want to miss out on something good when the time came. Other than leaving enough for himself to level up, all the remaining pills were placed on the shelves. In 3 days, Lin Jun's wealth was still increasing rapidly under his crazy work. On the 3rd night, all of Lin Jun's pills were finally sold out. As for his wealth, it had accumulated to 15 billion. It's about time. The auction will start tomorrow morning. I should stop too. Lin Jun moved his muscles and bones. He felt that the medicinal effects in his body had been completely dissolved, and he could level up again. Lin Jun swallowed the nebula-level energy-gathering elixir that he had prepared earlier. After the medicinal effects were digested, he made another breakthrough and reached level 9 of the nebula level. His 900,000 astral energy points increased again, reaching 970,000. Lin Jun was very satisfied with his star power. He had only been in the primordial realm for slightly more than 5 years, but he had already advanced to level 9 of the nebula level. After another breakthrough, he would also be a domain monarch. It could be said that he had finally made up for the experience of being trapped for 700 years. The black hole beast-devouring talent was indeed a super perverse ability. He sat cross-legged quietly in the room and calmed his newly leveled body while waiting for the auction to start. The next morning, Lin Jun tidied his clothes and walked out of the auction house with Lin Feng. It was his original body that came out. His clone was still frantically refining pills in the Alchemist Guild. This was the benefit of having a clone. The two of them rode on the rock and arrived at the entrance of the World Auction House. The auction started at 8 a.m. It was 7:40 a.m. now, and everyone was entering the venue. Not only could one participate in this kind of auction, but they could also participate in it from the dimensional universe. However, Lin Jun wanted to come and take a look because there were some things that could not be seen clearly in the dimensional universe. Welcome, Elder Lin Jun. It's my honor to meet you. The manager at the entrance had an amiable attitude and was all smiles as he bowed to Lin Jun. Lin Jun nodded slightly and entered the auction house under the guidance of an attendant. His seat was slightly behind the left side. Although the identity of a level 5 alchemist was already very noble, those who were able to participate in this kind of auction were not ordinary people. Therefore, Lin Jun's identity was not considered special here. He sat down in his seat. Behind each guest were 2 small seats prepared for their followers. Lin Feng, who had gradually entered the role of a follower, consciously sat behind him. Every time a big shot arrived, the manager would shout loudly to welcome the big shot's arrival. Here, those who could be called big shots could only be those influential people or immortal-level martial artists. Xianlu Prefecture's Alchemist Association president, Mr. Gu Yunting, has arrived. Lin Jun's closed eyes suddenly opened. He watched as Gu Yunting walked in from the outside. Along the way, he was chatting and laughing with the people around him until he reached the front. When he passed by Lin Jun felt that Gu Yunting was glancing at him from the corner of his eyes, revealing a trace of ridicule. Lin Jun originally thought that Gu Yunting would deal with him early on, but Lin Jun did not make a move. However, Lin Jun did not relax his vigilance. Perhaps this person was brewing some kind of trick. Lin Jun did not believe that Gu Yunting would let him off so easily. One by one, people entered the auction house. Soon, the auction house was filled with hundreds of seats. The host, who was wearing a white suit, walked up to the stage and lit up the lights. It is a great honor to gather with all the distinguished guests at the World Auction House. My name is Wu Dongliang. I hope that everyone will be able to gain something tonight and return with a full load. After a simple opening speech, the first auction item appeared on the stage. First, I will show everyone a medicine that many alchemist friends like. One of the 4 spirit blood, white tiger blood. I will not introduce the effects of this medicine. It has a wide range of uses. The price of this bottle of white tiger blood is 50 million. Every time you raise your paddle, it will increase the price by 10 million. Let's begin. Under the light, a crystal bottle was filled with blood. Lin Jun must obtain this item. Unsealing the first godly needle cannot be done without it. Seeing the white tiger blood appear, many alchemists and medicine merchants became restless. There were many people raising their paddles. However, Lin Jun did not immediately make a move. He was observing his opponents to see who had the strength to compete with him. Lin Jun did not care about the rest of the alchemists and medicine merchants. These people would not make a loss. When the price exceeded the normal price, they would give up. However, Lin Jun estimated that Gu Yunting would not let him succeed so easily. He looked at Gu Yunting. That person did not make a move. It was as if he was not interested in the white tiger blood. I don't care. Since you are not making a move, then I will not be polite. I must get this bottle of white tiger blood. At this time, the price had reached 120 million. The normal price of white tiger blood was around 150 million. Some people who wanted to take advantage of the situation had already retreated. 200 million. Chapter 642. After Lin Jun called out the price, countless pairs of eyes turned to look at him. Everyone who could participate in this auction could take out 200 million, but such a large jump in price was very eye-catching. Who is this person? He looks so young. Level 5 alchemist? Is this the guild's newly promoted elder? Why haven't I seen him before? A level 9 nebula? It seems that this person is a genius in alchemy. He's really rich. You actually haven't seen this person before? He's the ice and fire alchemist Lin Jun, who's been selling pills like hotcakes recently. His pills are really useful. They don't have the side effects of fire poison at all. People are going crazy over them. Oh, a pure alchemist. It seems that he's here to sell herbs. Then I won't compete with him. People were discussing in low voices. Although very few people had seen Lin Jun before, the name of the ice and fire alchemist was very famous during this period of time. Not many people did not know of him. Some people also looked at Gu Yunting. They thought that the two of them should have some grudges. Gu Yunting wouldn't let Lin Jun get the white tiger blood so easily. Lin Jun also looked at Gu Yunting with a hint of provocation in his eyes. Gu Yunting glanced at Lin Jun and then went to chat with the people around him. He didn't pay attention to Lin Jun at all. The host over there shouted a few times. When he saw that no one was competing with Lin Jun, he immediately dropped the hammer and announced that the white tiger blood belonged to Lin Jun. Lin Jun's 200 million was very smart. It directly made people who wanted to take advantage of him retreat. It also showed his determination to not let this item fall into the hands of others. Most people wouldn't compete with him. However, he didn't expect Gu Yunting to give up. What was this person thinking? But no matter what, the white tiger blood was in his hands. Lin Jun only lacked the vermilion bird blood to gather the four spirits and refine the bloodthirsty divine needle. On the other side, a world king powerhouse beside Gu Yunting asked, "President, aren't you going to compete with Lin Jun?" "Huh, it's just a mere herb. What's there to compete for? It's not like the white tiger blood can't be bought. If I compete with him, others will think I'm a joke and think I'm petty. But that Lin Jun seems to be provoking you. Hee, let him provoke me. This brat is playing a psychological battle with me, but he's still too young. He definitely wants to push the price of the white tiger's blood to a high price and make me suffer a hidden loss. After that, he has his eyes on another thing." "President, you're talking about?" Gu Yunting pointed at an auction item. "Don't forget, Lin Jun is an alchemist and a genius alchemist at that. I'm certain that this person has been madly obsessed with alchemy since he was a child. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to have such achievements at such a young age. So, everything that is beneficial to alchemy is what he wants. For instance, an ancient pill recipe. That's right, every ancient pill recipe has its own miraculous effects. If an alchemist were to obtain it, it would mean an endless amount of wealth. If Lin Jun were to obtain this ancient pill recipe, then he would have a firm foothold in the alchemy market of Xianlu County. No one will be able to chase him away. Therefore, no matter what, I cannot let him obtain it." Gu Yunting said with a smile. "I'll give up on the white tiger blood, but this pill recipe, I will definitely snipe him. I know that he has earned a lot of money during this period of time, but no matter what price I have to pay, this pill recipe will be mine. Because I'm also an alchemist, and a 6th level alchemist at that." The world king beside him nodded his head in praise, praising Gu Yunting for his foresight. But from his point of view, Gu Yunting had dominated the alchemy market for so many years. His wealth should be astronomical. If he wanted to buy something, no one would be able to compete with him. If he was Gu Yunting, he would make sure that Lin Jun couldn't get anything. That would be great. But he didn't know that the majority of Gu Yunting's income had to be handed over to the people behind him. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to hold this market by himself. The money that actually reached Gu Yunting's hands wasn't much. Gu Yunting's card now didn't have much, but he still had 30 to 40 billion. He was also aware of the situation of Lin Jun's alchemy sales. So, he was confident that he could snipe Lin Jun. After Lin Jun obtained the white tiger blood, he didn't continue to buy anything else. Although those dazzling items were indeed tempting, Lin Jun knew his goal. He wouldn't lose the big picture for small gains. Lin Jun had a hope in his heart. He hoped that the auction of the Taiyuan sword technique would appear before the ancient pill recipe. This way, he would have enough money to compete for the ancient pill recipe. Because from his point of view, Gu Yunting wouldn't let go of this pill recipe. There would definitely be a battle. Perhaps he had to think of a way. But reality didn't go as he wished. The ancient pill recipe appeared first. The next item has a great background. As everyone knows, there are countless ancient ruins in the Yuan realm. Too many genius warriors have fallen in various parts of the Yuan realm. There are countless treasures waiting for adventurers to discover. And this ancient pill recipe originated from the ancient tomb of a super alchemist. It's the most precious treasure he left behind before he died. Every time a new pill recipe appears on the market, it will definitely set off a frenzy. Dear alchemist friends, can you imagine the wealth it will bring? I don't think I need to introduce it further. Therefore, the starting price of this pill recipe is 3 billion. Each increment is 100 million. Begin. 3 billion. I want this pill recipe. 3 billion, 100 million. You're not even an alchemist. Don't participate. This is a battle between alchemists. You should show some sincerity in a battle between alchemists. What's the point of increments of 100 million? I'll bid 3 billion, 500 million. 3 billion, 500 million is only enough for you to take a look. For billion. The bidding voices of the scene immediately rose and fell. Some alchemists even threw off their robes excitedly and stood on their chairs to shout loudly. The atmosphere immediately heated up. Lin Feng muttered behind Lin Jun, "Boss, aren't you going to fight for this pill recipe? If we get it, we'll earn even more money. We'll get our money back very quickly. We must fight for it, but it's not the time yet." After waiting for a while, the price rose to 7 billion, 500 million. The number of people bidding finally decreased. According to the original prediction, the price of this ancient pill recipe was about 10 billion. When the price approached this price, a large number of people would naturally be eliminated. Only a burly barbarian warrior and a black-robed alchemist were competing. When the price rose to 8 billion, Lin Jun made his move. 10 billion. It was fine if he didn't hold back, but once he shouted, it was shocking. The barbarian warrior was stunned. 10 billion was his bottom line. He couldn't get used to it if it exceeded this price. Shaking his head, the barbarian warrior sat down, indicating that he withdrew from the competition. The black-robed alchemist was also a member of the Alchemist Guild. He was a very senior elder and a 5th-grade alchemist. Seeing Lin Jun raise the price, the black-robed alchemist chuckled. "Elder Lin Jun, it's just you and me left. However, this old man seems to have reached a dead end in alchemy recently. I'm in urgent need of new inspiration to stimulate my alchemy. So, why don't you give his pill formula to me? I can give up other things, but this pill recipe is really not." Elder Wang also knows that the pill recipe is the life of an alchemist. "Why don't you give it to me? After I bid for it, I can give you 2 pills. You can study it yourself." 11 billion. Elder Wang also felt the pressure. A bid of 500 million was really not something that ordinary people could bear. He was also reaching his limit, but he still wanted to fight for it. This old man is very stubborn. I really want to try Elder Lin's purchasing power. 11 billion, 500 million. Then I'm afraid Elder Wang will be very disappointed. 12 billion. When Lin Jun said this sentence expressionlessly, Elder Wang's face changed. He gritted his teeth and wanted to continue speaking, but in the end, he didn't dare to. After Elder Wang sat down dejectedly, Lin Jun's face revealed a proud smile. 12 billion to get an ancient pill recipe. This price was completely worth it. The host on the stage began to ask questions continuously. There were already people around who began to applaud Lin Jun. After all, such a high transaction amount should be encouraged according to etiquette. Lin Jun waved his hand in the midst of the applause. He was only waiting for the host to announce that he could get the pill recipe. However, just before the host shouted for the 3rd time, Gu Yunting suddenly spoke. "Young man, your alchemy skills are still not up to par. The ancient pill recipe will be wasted in your hands. Why don't you give it to me to try?" 13 billion. The applause came to an abrupt end. Everyone's faces were filled with excitement. The host also shouted excitedly, Mr. Gu, the president of the Pill Chamber of Commerce, has made a bid. This time, he will increase the price by 1 billion. I guarantee that this pill recipe is definitely worth this price. I wonder if there is anyone else who wants to compete with Mr. Gu. Previously, he increased the price by 500 million. Now, he increased it by 1 billion. Everyone wanted to see if Lin Jun still had the courage to continue. After all, this price had already exceeded the normal price of the pill recipe. Lin Jun's face was also flushed red. After seeing Gu Yunting increase the price, he instantly straightened his body. Although Mr. Gu is rich and imposing, Lin Jun is not talented. I really want to try with Mr. Gu. 15 billion. A one-time increase of 2 billion. Gu Yunting was stunned. He didn't expect Lin Jun to be so daring. However, this was completely within his expectations. Today, even if he had to pay a huge price, he would still defeat Lin Jun on this point. No, It was to defeat Lin Jun in all aspects. As expected, a newborn calf is not afraid of tiger. Then let's play. 18 billion. There was an uproar at the scene. This time, Gu Yunting actually increased the price by 3 billion. This was really going overboard. The Yuan realm's currency still had a lot of purchasing power. 18 billion was a price that even some poor immortal-level martial artists would find difficult to take out, let alone a realm king. This price had also far exceeded the normal price of the pill recipe. Sure enough, after Lin Jun heard this price, a helpless look appeared on his face. He finally sat down. Gu Yunting revealed a victorious smile. This was all within his expectations. He had already calculated how much Lin Jun had earned from selling medicine these days. At most, it would be 160. It would not exceed 170. He bid 180. Lin Jun couldn't even match his bid. The host announced that the pill recipe belonged to Gu Yunting. Gu Yunting won this round. Chapter 643. Everyone gave Gu Yunting a warm round of applause. Throwing out 18 billion in one go was indeed a huge sum and was rarely seen anywhere. Even if the elixir for the elixir formula was refined, it was still a big problem when he would be able to earn back 18 billion. Gu Yunting also thought that he had won against Lin Jun, and he had a smug look on his face. The King Kai beside him said to him, "Mr. Gu, I'm guessing that Lin Jun might not only have this one target. He should have more than 10 billion in his hands. We can snipe him once, but it will be too difficult to snipe him a second time." Don't worry. Before Lin Jun came, I had already calculated his wealth. I have close to 40 billion in my hands. It won't be a problem to snipe him a second time. But how can we be sure of Lin Jun's target? It's very simple. He's both a martial artist and an alchemist. His target is either an elixir formula or a cultivation technique. I've already seen the cultivation techniques being auctioned here. There are two types of cultivation techniques, and Lin Jun will definitely choose one of them. Oh, which two types? One is the 5 styles of falling stars, and the other is the Taiyuan sword technique. Which one do you think he will choose? The King Kai pondered for a moment. We've also checked Lin Jun's information. This person has always used a spear. Although the Taiyuan sword technique is an ancient secret manual, it doesn't suit him. I'm guessing that he will choose the 5 styles of falling stars. Gu Yunting chuckled. Brother, you still don't understand this cunning kid. He's the best at acting. You all saw that he knows how to use a spear. Yes, he does know how to use a spear, but compared to using a sword, it's a far cry. I dare to guarantee with my life that he will definitely choose a sword technique, because the foundation of his sword technique is terrifying even to me. How can that be? The information clearly shows that. Do you still remember those dead domain monarchs? Gu Yunting suddenly asked. Without waiting for the Realm King's reply, he continued. Those domain kings were all killed by Lin Jun with a single finger. At that time, he was facing the collective attacks of several people, and it was already too late for him to use his spear in close combat. Thus, that was when his trump card was forced out. This fellow actually managed to cultivate Finger Flick Sword Aura. No way. Finger Flick Sword Chi. I seem to have heard of it. You didn't remember wrongly. Only a master like Hua Hua Tai Sui could do that. Lin Jun actually comprehended it. How deep do you think his understanding of the way of the sword is? This person hasn't bought any techniques since he came to the primordial realm. It would be strange if he wasn't tempted after seeing the Taiyuan sword technique. The Realm King beside him was suddenly enlightened. He was incomparably impressed by Gu Yunting's divine foresight. If it were him, he might have been tricked to death by Lin Jun today without knowing it. On the other hand, Gu Yunting was able to see through Lin Jun's schemes and was able to kill Lin Jun the first time or even the second time. Meeting Gu Yunting was truly Lin Jun's greatest tragedy. There were many items being auctioned this time. Treasures appeared one after another, attracting many people to fight over them. There were even 2 immortal realm martial artists present. However, they were fighting over a treasure called the Mountain Jade. The 2 of them also fought for a price of tens of billions. In the end, one of them won. Now that the treasure had been won, the immortal realm martial artist stood up and left. The higher the realm of a martial artist, the more they felt that time was precious. Basically, They wouldn't waste time on meaningless things. Although the immortal realm martial artists had left, everyone felt more relaxed. After all, it still required a lot of courage to fight for treasures with the immortal realm martial artists. The appearance of a technique attracted everyone's attention. It was an ancient manual, the Taiyuan sword technique. The host introduced it enthusiastically. This sword technique came from an immortal realm martial artist. Its power was extraordinary. He made it sound extravagant, causing the people who were already extremely interested in the sword technique to pay more attention to it. Everyone, this Taiyuan sword technique has been introduced to everyone. Now it's time for the auction. The starting price is 2 billion. The minimum increment each time must not be less than 100 million. Let's begin. Before the host finished speaking, someone directly offered a price of 3 billion. Originally, he wanted to use this method to beat back some competitors. However, he didn't expect that someone immediately followed up with a price of 5 billion. Before the 5 billion voice finished speaking, 4 billion appeared. Most of the competitors were defeated. However, the price of the sword technique continued to rise. Soon, it climbed to 7 billion. At this moment, Lin Jun made his move again. 8 billion. Just as Lin Jun finished speaking, Gu Yunting took a sip of tea and said lightly, "Alchemists are also martial artists. I also use the sword. I've taken a fancy to this sword technique." 10 billion. Lin Jun stared at him. "Do you think it's yours just because you said you've taken a fancy to it?" 11 billion. Seeing that the two of them were going at it again, the people present at the scene almost stopped bidding. One of them was an old tycoon in the pill market, while the other was a new tycoon whose business was booming. Both of them were rich and overbearing. It was best not to compete with them. The two of them went back and forth. When Lin Jun called out another bid of 15 billion, Gu Yunting threw out a sky-high bid of 18 billion. "Lin Jun, if you can offer a higher price, this manual will belong to you. However, I have to warn you that if you bid here, you have to ensure that you have enough money in your bank account. Otherwise, even if you bid a higher price in the end, this deal will be voided and you'll have to pay for it." Gu Yunting didn't have much money left. He had just spent 180 billion. This time, it would be difficult for him if Lin Jun increased the price again. However, he wasn't afraid at all because he knew how much money Lin Jun had. This was called knowing yourself and knowing your enemy. You'll never be defeated. Sure enough, the price of 180 billion was Lin Jun's Achilles heel. Hearing this price, Lin Jun couldn't increase the price anymore. After the auctioneer called out 3 times, the hammer fell and the deal was closed. Gu Yunting won again. The surrounding people who were watching excitedly applauded Gu Yunting. Sure enough, the older the ginger, the spicier it was. Lin Jun's financial resources were still far from being comparable to Gu Yunting's. Gu Yunting smiled and cupped his fist to the surrounding people. This time, he really made a profit. Not only did he ruthlessly humiliate Lin Jun, but these two things were also what he needed. In other words, his money wasn't wasted. It was all spent on the blade's edge. After paying a 5% processing fee of 900 billion to the auction house, the remaining 1 billion was transferred to Lin Jun's card. Looking at the 31 billion in his card, Lin Jun knew that he would definitely be able to get his hands on the martial arts manual today. The 5th style of falling stars was actually Lin Jun's final goal. Gu Yunting's reaction was also within Lin Jun's expectations. After all, he didn't really understand Lin Jun. Under Lin Jun's misdirection, it was easy for him to take the wrong path. This was called being too clever for his own good. The Taiyuan sword technique had led Gu Yunting's train of thought astray. Although the ancient elixir recipe and the Taiyuan sword technique were in Gu Yunting's hands, Lin Jun wasn't worried at all. What was his talent? It was devouring. It was memory deprivation. It was soul-searching. As ancient books, the ancient elixir recipe and the Taiyuan sword technique could only be provided to one person to learn. If Gu Yunting learned it, the ancient book would automatically lose its power and become a waste. It could only remain in the memory of the person who learned it forever. However, Lin Jun wasn't afraid. Gu Yunting was an enemy. As long as he got rid of him, these things that he had lost would be returned. Soon, it was time for the auction house's finale, the fifth style of falling stars, to be auctioned. This was a martial technique secret manual that could be used for general use. It attracted the interest of almost everyone present. The starting price of 3 billion was still being fought over. Voices rose and fell in an endless stream. Gu Yunting leaned back in his chair and watched all this with a smile. He had already returned from a rewarding journey today, so he might as well stay here and watch the fun. Lin Zhen also participated in the bidding. The bidding price was in the hundreds and hundreds of millions. Soon, the price reached 12 billion. Now, the main opponent competing with Lin Zhen was the World King by Gu Yunting's side. This World King also had his eyes on the fifth style of falling stars. However, his financial resources were inferior to Gu Yunting's. He only had 13 billion. When Lin Zhen called out 12 billion, he hesitated. Gu Yunting glanced at him. "Brother, what are you waiting for? Continue to bid. I don't have enough money on hand right now. Lin Zhen's two main targets have been snatched by me. This is his last hope. You can't give him a chance." "Mr. Gu, I also wanna, but I only have 13 billion. This is all I have accumulated over the years. I'm afraid I'm not Lin Zhen's opponent." "It doesn't matter. You bid first and see his reaction." This World King braced himself and shouted out 13 billion. Lin Zhen immediately increased the price to 15 billion. "Mr. Gu, what do we do now?" Gu Yunting blinked. Almost everyone knew about the grudge between him and Lin Zhen. If he didn't completely trample Lin Zhen to death, there would definitely be people who would laugh at him. He knew how much money Lin Zhen had. If he increased the price by 18 billion, Lin Zhen would be finished. His friend had 13 billion, and he still had 5 billion. If he supported Lin Zhen, then Lin Zhen would have nothing this time. Although he had spent all his money, he still had some medicinal pills in stock. If he sold them, he would still have a lot of money. He had to go all out. "I'll transfer 5 billion to you. You get this secret manual for me." Gu Yunting transferred 5 billion to his friend without hesitation. "Mr. Gu, let's make a deal. You owed me 4 billion and haven't given it to me for many years. I'm too embarrassed to ask for it. Whether this auction succeeds or not, I won't return the 5 billion. You don't need to return it. As long as you defeat Lin Zhen, it's fine." Gu Yunting was also going all out. He had forgotten that he owed someone money. It was useless to regret it now. It was worth it to defeat Lin Zhen. 18 billion. The World King beside him bid. Gu Yunting looked at Lin Zhen with a smile. "Lin Zhen, I bought this book for my friend. It's still 18 billion. If you can increase the price, this book is yours. But do you still have money?" "Ha ha." Gu Yunting's big spending shocked everyone. He had bid for 18 billion twice in a row, and he was still able to bid. How much money did this guy have? At this time, Lin Feng said in Lin Zhen's ear, "Boss, I feel that Gu Yunting has reached his limit. Believe me, my feeling is very accurate. He has no money." Chapter 644. Hearing Lin Zhen shout this price, Gu Yunting, who was originally confident of winning, was stunned. Then he shouted, "Impossible! You can't have so much money. Host, this person cheated. He should be compensated and disqualified." The surrounding people frowned slightly. Gu Yunting was stupid. The host could monitor the customer's bank card situation. Once there was a situation where the bid and balance did not match, there would be a notification. Did he need a shout to remind? The host also had a smile on his face. "Mr. Gu, please rest assured. If there's a situation like what you said, I will definitely not sit back and do nothing. However, the current situation shows that Mr. Lin Zhen's bank card balance is definitely enough." Gu Yunting also reacted at this moment. He looked at Lin Zhen blankly. "Then why did you give up before?" This question, you can go back and think about it slowly. However, I can't guarantee that you can understand it. Mr. Gu, cut the crap. If you don't increase the price, this secret manual will be mine. Gu Yunting really wanted to increase the price, but he really had no money. He could only say bitterly, "You just got a secret manual. What are you so proud of?" "I got the pill formula and SOAR manual." "Lin Zhen, you still lost. I believe you will know who won and who lost soon. Host, can you announce the result?" The host nodded. After confirming that no one increased the price, he decisively dropped the hammer. "Congratulations, Mr. Lin Zhen, for obtaining this ancient manual at the price of 1 billion. This is also the highest transaction price in today's auction. The World Auction House has a rule. In an auction of this level, the person who obtains the highest transaction price can become a gold card member of the World Auction House and enjoy the VIP treatment of free reminders. At the same time, Mr. Lin Jun will also enjoy a 10% discount when purchasing goods from our company in the future. Lin Jun was also stunned. He really didn't expect there to be such a rule. However, this was a good thing. He gladly accepted it. On the other side, Gu Yunting almost vomited blood. Lin Jun got the highest transaction price at 1 billion. He had 2 bids of 18 billion and lost by a difference of 100 million. Lin Jun, what a bastard. Gu Yunting gnashed his teeth as he spoke. When the King Kai beside him saw his state, he immediately left without saying a word. Gu Yunting had given him 5 billion. This time's auction wasn't in vain. Speaking of which, he had to thank Lin Jun. Otherwise, Gu Yunting wouldn't have given him the money. Lin Jun received the secret manual of the 5 styles of falling stars and also obtained the gold card membership of the World Auction. It was a rewarding journey. Gu Yunting also believed that he had won. As for who won, time would reveal the answer. Looking at the balance in his bank card, Lin Jun saw that it had increased from 15 billion to 13.8 billion. He had earned 171 billion from selling the secret manual, 181 billion from buying the secret manual, and 200 million from the White Tiger's blood. This time, Lin Jun had only spent 1 billion. He even obtained a gold card membership for free. This membership couldn't even be bought with 1 billion. In a good mood, he brought Lin Feng back to the Alchemist Guild and let Lin Feng go back to rest. Lin Jun opened the secret manual of the 5 styles of falling stars in his room. This was a secret manual of a mental cultivation method. If one followed the circulation method in the secret manual and practiced the force exertion method, one could master this ancient secret technique. The first style, Meteor Fall, has the power of a meteor head-on collision with a casual move. This move can be used by me, and it's enough to defeat some nebulous stage cultivators. The second style is Meteor Fall. Even nebulous stage cultivators can't resist it. However, the third style, Meteor Fall, is truly powerful. It's enough to help me fight against the King Kai. However, this move consumes too much star power. It actually requires 1 million star power. Only geniuses among the Domain Kings would have 1 million star power. For nebula stage cultivators, 1 million star power was an unattainable goal. There probably weren't many nebula stage cultivators in the entire Yuan realm. However, Lin Jun still had a chance. His current star power was 970,000. If he could light up the Star of 5 Ghosts, his star power would exceed 1 million star power. Even if his star power didn't exceed 1 million star power, he could still learn this secret manual because he still had his doppelganger. With enough money to support him, Lin Jun let his doppelganger continue refining pills here, while his original body entered the dimensional arena. He wanted to cultivate in the dimensional arena. After he mastered the first 3 styles of the 5 styles of falling stars, it would be time for him to settle the score with Gu Yunting. The dimensional arena in the Yuan realm wasn't much different from the new territories. Not only were there challenges, but there were also team battles and celestial body competitions. One could also cultivate alone. Lin Jun arrived at the Nebula Stage Arena. Battle Zone 825, Small Battle Zone 7399. He set up individual arenas here. There were only a few short messages on the individual arenas. The arena winnings wouldn't be withdrawn within 3 months. All challenges from a Nebula stage were accepted. Lin Jun's prize pool had a reward of 100 million star power. Everyone could challenge as much as they wanted, whether they wanted to take all or part of it. Not withdrawing meant that within 3 months, no matter how much money there was in the arena prize pool, he would leave it here. He wouldn't take a single cent. Even if there were 100 billion star power in the prize pool, one could win it all in one go if they had the ability. Although it was just a few simple sentences, they were extremely arrogant. Lin Jun's arena had just been set up when someone challenged him. The challenger was a barbarian warrior whose body had a metallic texture. His skin was as hard as metal. It was obvious that he had cultivated some kind of technique. I was wondering what kind of great person would set up such a boastful arena. It turns out that you're just a 1,000-year-old kid. I'll take all your 100 million star power. You'd better go back and cultivate for a few more years before coming back to talk nonsense. Come at me as much as you can. Cut the crap. Lin Jun brazenly attacked. He used the 5 styles of falling stars that he had learned over the past few days. A lightning-fast punch landed on his opponent's chest. Meteor fall. The barbarian warrior didn't care and stuck out his chest. You overestimate yourself. If you can make me take a step back, you win. Boom. A meteor seemed to slide down from the sky. A meteor was a huge meteorite. What kind of power would a huge meteorite produce when it hit a planet? Some people said that the extinction of the dinosaurs on Earth was due to the impact of a meteorite. It was as if a small nuclear bomb had exploded in front of his chest. This Nebula Stage 9 warrior was directly blasted out of the virtual space by Lin Jun. Killed with one punch, Lin Jun clenched his fist with one hand, making cracking sounds. He shook his head slightly. No, you're too weak. You don't know what's good for you. You actually used your body to resist. This can't achieve the effect of training at all. However, 100 million in cash was real. Lin Jun's prize pool was close to 200 million. It was very rare for a Nebula Stage battlefield to have a few billion in cash. 200 million was already a huge reward. The warriors who came to challenge him lined up in an instant. Lin Jun checked in the dimensional universe. In such a short time, the number of people in the queue had reached more than 10,000. Next, the reward of 10 million. This should be a more cautious person. However, this is good. At least the battle won't be so boring. The image flashed, and a thin, middle-aged man appeared. This person was indeed cautious. After appearing, he took a stance and began to confront Lin Jun. Lin Jun didn't say anything at all. With a boom, he had already blasted over like a cannonball. He didn't take out any weapons and only used his fists and feet to fight the enemy. The battle wasn't particularly easy. To be able to see Lin Jun putting down such a slogan and still challenge him, one had to at least have some skills. Moreover, Lin Jun mainly focused on training. The two of them attacked back and forth in the air. After a minute, Lin Jun punched the person's lower back and blasted him out of the arena. My meteor fall hasn't reached the point where I can use it at will. This might require tens of thousands of battles to familiarize myself with it. However, this isn't a problem at all. With the lure of cash, I don't lack battles. The reward became 210 million, and the third challenger appeared. This person was even more cautious. The challenge reward was only 1 million. This was also the minimum limit set by Lin Jun. Perhaps he was a little uncertain after seeing Lin Jun win 2 rounds in a row. Lin Jun didn't think it was too little. There would be many such situations in the future. Without saying a word, he started the battle. After 30 seconds, the third person was eliminated. Then, it was the fourth and the fifth. However, there was no one like the first person who took it all. Lin Jun would sometimes be injured during the battle. It wasn't that he wasn't strong enough, but that he wasn't familiar with the 5 styles of falling stars. It was a little jerky and gave others a chance to succeed. However, it was also because of this that some martial artists would show others the battle footage after being eliminated. This proved that Lin Jun wasn't that difficult to defeat. As long as there were strong people who came, they would definitely pocket the 200 million. As a result, more and more people came to challenge them. As more people came, there would be martial artists who were confident enough to appear. When the 15th challenger appeared, he directly took Lin Jun's 250 million reward. I was really worried that someone would win the reward before me. However, God is still looking after me. The people who came before were all rookies. I've earned a lot today. Then let's see if you have the ability. Lin Jun moved forward again, and the two of them began to fight. This opponent was indeed strong. His star power had actually reached 550,000. However, that was all. Compared to Lin Jun's 970,000 star power, they weren't on the same level at all. After persevering for 5 minutes, Lin Jun exchanged injuries and blasted him out with a clumsy meteor fall. From the beginning to the end, Lin Jun didn't even use his mentality. 250 million had turned into 500 million. 500 million was already a huge sum. However, Those who dared to come and challenge him were all experts. Looking at the 50,000 people lining up in the dimensional universe, Lin Jun smiled bitterly. There would be a lot to fight this time. However, by the time the battle ended, he would have basically mastered the first 3 styles of falling stars. Chapter 645. My friends, Heitu's chapters are all over 3,000 words long. The 3rd chapter is almost catching up to the 5th chapter for many people. On average, it is more than 10,000 words a day. Today, it is close to 13,000 words. It is worthy of everyone's votes. Therefore, Heitu is here to implore everyone to vote for this book. Monthly votes, recommendations, rewards, and hardworking people should be rewarded.